Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your Viceroy of Verisimilitude, existential Mr. Rogers, or make up any name, and you can call me that. Robert Meyer Burnett, and this is episode 12 of Midnight Musings. And you know who I have with me? You know her, you love her. She's how you doing?
I am well, Robert. How are you tonight?
I'm good tonight. We're going to be joined by Lael Rockwell a little later. He is, of course, he's at a movie. He probably went and saw Jurassic World Dominion. To be honest, I don't know if I'm going to see Jurassic World Dominion. I don't know if I'm going to roll out to the theater and see it. Are you going to go see it? Did you see it already?
I have not seen it. I haven't gone to the movies for a little while because I've been busy with with work and some other things. But no, I haven't seen it, and I am kind of waiting for everyone comments about
What were you before you what? Uh-oh. Am I losing you?
theater. I hope not.
I can still hear you. I can hear you. There we go. It's there, yeah, you're back. Um
Okay.
yeah, I have to say that from an intellectual standpoint, the movie, reading what it's about, there's nothing in the description other than dinosaurs, which, I've got Jurassic Park in 4K. I can put it on the old 65-inch OLED that's right over there, and I can watch that. I don't the story, even though I'd love to see Ian Malcolm and Laura Dern and everybody back, the story doesn't have any resonance. Like I don't. They have not convinced me to go see it. There is not enough of a story hook that makes me want to go see this movie, which seems strange. I mean, I'll catch up with it, but why? Because I find myself, like, I guess because it's my job to pontificate about these things, but I can't muster the interest to go see this movie. I mean, for what reason? It's funny watching The Boys, and The Boys is such a densely packed show. It works as a social satire. It works as just the blackest of black comedies. It works as a skewering of many sacred cows. It's also a legit straight up superhero story with great villains and great characters. It has a great ensemble cast. I think the storyline this season is really compelling, where they're going with it and what Homelander's been doing to everybody. That interests me. Or For All Mankind. The new season of For All Mankind just dropped. Again, very compelling stuff. We've now moved into the 90s. The Russians are and the Americans are chasing a privatized space company to see who's going to get to Mars first. I don't know. Am I wrong? Do I have an obligation to roll out and see another Jurassic Park movie that I'm not that interested in seeing? What do you think?
Well, I think that there are super fans who will see every single Jurassic Park film, no matter what. And they've done a few things that are a little different this time. But the main thing that I've noticed is that they brought a lot of previous cast members together in this film from several films, including Jeff Goldblum. And I wouldn't mind seeing him in this film. Jurassic Park 2,
No
I
doubt.
think the one that he was in was my favorite one. And so I think that there's going to be a lot of nostalgia satisfaction in this one. And I think that if you are a super fan, you won't be disappointed in the film. I've seen a few people comment about what they thought about the film. They said it was fun and entertaining. So definitely for people who fit in that category, I can see them seeing that. And honestly, Robert, it's the summer. This could be a big blockbuster this summer.
Mm. Oh, no doubt. It's going to be a monster opening. I don't know if it's going to. Normally, I would say, oh yeah, it's going to be easily $1 billion grosser. I don't know if it, in fact, will be. I wonder. You can hear Gilbert outside. He's
I
barking.
can hear them. They want to go inside.
They want to come in here. The problem is, they come in here now and they're playing a lot with the young puppy, with Sebastian, and they have a tendency to tear out the plugs of the computer. I need to get it all up elevated so they can come underneath my desk. But yeah, I mean, Mikey Lito in the chat, our man Mikey Lito, by the way, congratulations on the movie about his aunt, or they
Holly Murray, yes.
Holly Murray, her name, or my name is Polly Murray. See, it's tough. I can't. It's hard for me to talk because he had said "aunt." So, but my name is Polly Murray. Won a Peabody Award, which is a very prestigious award that's given to things that add to our understanding and our culture. It's a very prestigious award to get. So that's very, very cool.
It is great. It is a culturally significant documentary on Polly Murray, who was a wonderful American and has done so much for our country. And so I thoroughly enjoyed it. I know you did too, Robert. I know you did a special on it here on your channel. But for those of you at home who haven't seen it.
I was watching it the other day, actually.
Mm-hmm. Again. And I'm not surprised. Anybody who has not seen it, please go ahead and check out My Name is Polly Murray.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's on Amazon. I think it's on Amazon.
I think it is on Prime. Yes.
Yeah. That's why I was watching it. So, and also, by the way, the first episode of For All Mankind was fantastic.
And this is season 2, Robert.
3. Season.
Oh, 3.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
It's amazing, and it really is amazing. Now, we've got RRTNZ, our friend from New Zealand, said, "Hail, Bob and team. Hope you're all well. Haven't caught a live stream of yours in ages. Got a comic recommendation, Starstone, a 1980s independent comic from Canada. Good pulpy fun. Cheers, mate." I don't know that comic. I like the title, though. And
I love indie comics. I love indie comics.
Me too. That's about all I read anymore. And he goes on to say, "Also, because I live in a cave, I've only just discovered Stranger Things. I loved seasons 1 and 2 as an 80s dude yourself. What'd you think of it?" I loved season 1 of Stranger Things. I thought season 2 was a little bit of a rehash, even though I liked it. Season 3, we're on season 4 now. Season 3 I thought was better, even though it was pretty goofy, but I liked it. Season 4, this new season, I'm loving.
It is incredible, great. Robert. It's incredible. You almost have to congratulate the Duffer Brothers for taking the 3 years they needed. They took the time they needed to create something that was magical. It's got a cinematic quality to it. It is not a perfect by any means, but boy, they sure have hit a lot of points on this one because they've managed to create a horror genre, or at least recreate a horror genre that a lot of people are trying to capture. They're trying to redo Nightmare on Elm Street. They're trying to redo that 80s, supernatural horror feel, and a lot of people have tried it and they failed. They had Fear Street. Fear Street was not as successful as it could have been on Netflix in that regard, but Stranger Things managed to perfect what it was like to be alive in the 80s and to have that 80s horror feel, and I absolutely love it, Robert.
Yeah, no, I mean it's fantastic. I do too, and I really enjoy. I mean, we've got an embarrassment of genre riches right now. You know, for those of you who might love Strange New Worlds, for me, I did like this week's episode quite a bit because it was a complete ripoff of an Ursula K. Le Guin story, and they don't even. I mean, Alex Kurtzman said in an interview, "Yeah, we're just going to adapt this story," and I find that, to be honest, kind of abhorrent. That you're going to just randomly start. They're already randomly adapting Star Trek novelists' work uncredited. Give them story credit. Like, I don't understand how now we can just shamelessly rip off famous. I mean, the story they ripped off, those who walk away from Omelas, that won the Hugo Award. It's the most prestigious science fiction literary award, and they just straight up stole it, and they're telling people they did. And it's crazy. I think it's a very weird thing. But that said, I mean, The Boys, Stranger Things, The Orville New Horizons, For All Mankind. There is some really great genre fare out there if you're an imagination connoisseur, and I'm loving it. What other than Stranger Things? What is your favorite? What is your favorite thing that you're watching now?
Well, I'm a huge fan of The Boys. You know, The Watchmen was a passion for me, the comic, as well as when the film came out. I saw that film the first day it was released in a Globe IMAX theater in New York, and I absolutely love The Watchmen. I just fell in love with it, the live adaptation, which I thought was kind of going to be impossible to recreate, but it seems like they had pulled it off in the film for me. And seeing The Boys and their adaptation of the graphic novel, I think they're doing a wonderful job of a live action series. It's also very hard to recreate.
I think it's better than the comic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that what they're doing is, I mean, what's really interesting is they're going to do the Hero-gasm story. And for those of you who don't know what the Hero-gasm story is, in the comic, every year they basically have a superhero orgy. Vought says that there's a big worldwide calamity that all the supes have to get together and go fix. But instead they go to this island and they basically have a monster orgy. And they do there's stuff in those panels that are so disgusting. You know, and like Black Noir sexually abuses Huey, and Soldier Boy and Homelander, they have all this sex because Homelander's like, if you want into the Seven, you have to fuck me, basically. I mean, it's hardcore. And I mean, it's really hardcore in the comic. And I just don't know how they're going to pull that off. Mike Bodden was telling me that Anthony Starr was being interviewed and said that his wife refuses to watch the Hero-gasm episode when it airs with him. She won't watch it. I'm like, well, I like that. That's cool.
Well, to be honest with you, this was a show where one of the heroes, so to speak, or whatever you want to call him, had someone's dick rubbed across his face. So certainly this is not our ordinary superhero show. You know, we should be expecting things that will shock us, that will amaze us, and just kind of almost it's a little guilty pleasure, which I haven't experienced in a superhero live action in age. Robert, there are certain things that we do like to see pushed over the edge, which were done in comics, and now seeing it in live action, I also have to congratulate them for even attempting to do some of the feats that we are seeing in The Boys. And let me tell you something I loved at the end of season, I think it was season 2, where Homelander is kind of like just jerking off at the top of the building, just saying he can do whatever he wants to do. And I'm like, this is the type of freedom and exploration and creativity and, unusual scenes. It wasn't sort of like a loving, rub one out. This was a maniac who's like, I don't care what happens. I can do whatever I want. I can even jerk off on the top of a building and I don't care if anybody sees me. And I just thought to myself, this is so free. This series is so free that it's really it's almost European in a sense, because there's no boundaries, Robert, absolutely none, and I love it.
I never knew that. I never contemplated this before, but I never knew I wanted a shrunken human being to walk into my urethra and massage it from the inside. I have to tell you, that sequence at first, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It gave a whole new meaning to just the tip. I mean, it was unbelievable. And then, of course, the greatest gore. The Boys has the greatest gore I've ever seen. And, you turn this unbelievably strange. I mean, it was more strange than anything else. I thought that they were going to give us like some hot, sweaty man-on-man action. And they did, but it was different than I would have expected. I mean, I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then, of course, Termite sneezes while he's inside his friend and of course, blows up to normal size. And again, no one blows up bodies better than the Boys does. And the violence in that show is so disturbing.
Yes.
And if you watched episode 4, who would have thought that you would have taken an orgy scene with a bunch of Russian hookers and turned it into a martial arts fight with giant superhero dildos?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
and you know what? When I was watching it, I thought to myself, hey, why not? Why not do that?
This is the stuff of dreams, Robert. I think that just hear me out. Yes, it is. Just hear me out. Just hear me out. This show is all about imagination. And, we've had video games that have shown people fighting with dildos. We've had, people end up in the ER because they were putting gerbils up their ass. We've had all sorts of things that we've seen in sort of like popular news in games. And I think that kind of exploring this, but It's a parody. It's all a parody.
Well, yeah,
You know,
it's all, yeah.
I never knew what the inside of a urethra looked like or an anus, but now I know, Robert. You know, these are things that I've always wondered about. And I think that it's an imagination. What are we going to do for the inside urethra scene? Well, we're going to have a giant urethra and someone's going, okay,
and
sure.
we have to make it big enough so that you go to the art department. I can imagine that
That's
meeting.
right.
You know, you're doing your page turn and the production designer is like, so can I get like high resolution medical photographs of the inside of your urethra to see exactly what it looks like? I mean, how much light penetrates it from? I mean, it just, I can only imagine.
Of course, there's an intimacy supervisor through all of this, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, how does the intimacy supervisor deal with a man like walking? So when you get inside the urethra, you know, you want to make sure that you don't use your fingertips. You want to like be gentle.
You want to be kind. You don't want to say anything inappropriate, like what a large urethra you have, or, you know, just keep the talk to a minimum.
Yeah, get to the prostate.
That's right. And I think that that's
funny.
okay.
John Campia on the show was like, I never want to hear that. And I'm like, you're missing out.
Well, you know something? I think it's an adult show. And for a long time, we've been wanting adult shows that explore other scenarios. And, you know, if you happen to be an adult male, which is probably 90% of the people that are watching that show, I think you will find things not only to relate to. Yes, I think that you will not only find things to relate to, but you will also find the humor in it because of all these different things that have been going through our mind that we've been suppressing a lot of this, Robert. Like this, I've never seen such a repressed community of people who are even afraid to compliment somebody or ask somebody out. That is not applicable to this show whatsoever.
No, I mean, this show, and that's why if the Hero-gasm storyline, I can't even. But you know, it's really interesting. A lot of what they're doing is skewering those sacred cows. I mean, they're really. I mean, it's funny because I don't think anybody would ever complain about the pretty graphic depiction of same-sex, like male gay sex, because they've gone so far. Like here, that's at one end of the spectrum. What they did was leapfrog that and went into something so weird and bizarre. And then it goes from this crazy sex situation to being this unbelievably, horribly violent scene. I mean, it only the boys. I can't believe they reach those, what you were talking about, those, call them heights?
Yeah, it certainly
They're
is.
Heights to me.
They are heights. And if I were making a horror film, this is the crew I'd want on my horror film. Because I wouldn't have to tell them, you know, it's not far enough. You know, it's not gory enough. No. If you gave them a sheet that says this has to be gory as fuck, they would be like, okay, we know what to do. Yeah, and I mean, you would walk on there.
That's one of the things that I was thinking about. Like this is one of the most, I think about the roughest movies I've ever seen in terms of extreme content. You'd have to throw in like Solo, the 120 Days of Sodom. You'd have to like the skinning scene in Martyrs. Or even some of the stuff in They Call Her One Eye, rape revenge films. I mean, there's some really tough stuff that has been put on film. Even something like Blood-Sucking Freaks has some really really gross stuff in it. And the rape scene in Irreversible, which I still can't watch. But this show in terms of being transgressive, it's transgressive in such a gleeful way. I've never seen anything like it. I don't think there's a movie equivalent of what they're doing on The Boys. And they just gleefully do it. I mean, you know, even when Ashley pulls out the giant Homelander, you know, and the guy she's with is like, yes, I would like that. Let's celebrate International Women's Day. I mean, it's pretty amazing. But not just that, but beyond it, I mean, I find the relationship that Giancarlo Esposito Stan has with Homelander to be really a highlight for me. And even it was great, like seeing Giancarlo Esposito say when his daughter betrayed him at Homelander's behest, he's like, well, you think Homelander's going to get one over on him. He's like, well, I did tell her that she should keep her options open. Like I did teach her to use everything at her disposal. And that character is great. And in the comics, I stand for Stan. I'm a Stan. I love Stan, and I love Giancarlo Esposito, and their relationship when he was talking about like the endless pit of your insecurities and stuff. The dialogue is great. The writing on it is great. And I'm loving the show, and I just who knows where they're going to go next. Tom Jr. Jackson says, Jedi Master of Fun and Wonder. Tom made me a very fun picture of me as the Jedi Master of Fun and Wonder, which I did put on Instagram, so you can see that. Hello, looking lovely tonight. Rob, good to see you again, sir. It's good to see you. As I was saying to the Robservatory is behind me. I haven't been able to finish this final part behind me because I've needed to get in and out of the garage door. But tomorrow the garage door is coming down permanently, so you will not be able to open the garage door because everything will be there, and things will be just so. But it's looking pretty fine in here, and I'll do a tour when it's all put together. But that's pretty exciting. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, and then again, for the gleeful joy I have watching the boys, watching For All Mankind is, I mean, my God, it's just absolutely just fantastic. And again, I would go there for my more erudite stuff, the intellectual stuff. Although the boys is actually a fairly intellectual show, truth be told. So
yeah, and I have to give them a lot of credit in regards to the boys because, as I said before, after The Watchmen, I wasn't quite sure where we could go in regards to having a genre like this and pushing the limits with live action. And I think that The Boys has set a standard that's going to be hard to meet outside of The Boys for any other comics, which may focus are not as balanced as The Boys. You mentioned the acting was incredible. The writing's incredible. The production team is incredible. They're really hitting all the marks. And, I have to give them credit for something that we just keep coming back to. It's so enjoyable, Robert. The actors are amazing.
Yeah, they really are. And again, it's part of the embarrassment of riches that we are getting, and that we're getting all of this diversity of programming. And I feel the same way. I mean, the Orville has really upped their game this year, and it's we're just getting some great stuff. And
I did want to make a small comment about Strange New Worlds. Is that okay, Robert?
It is. No, we're here to talk about everything. We are.
Well, I have to say that I was very skeptical about Strange New Worlds because I felt that it was very odd to call it strange because we're kind of like this generation that grew up where we already go to space. So space travel isn't something that seems strange or unusual. And I thought to myself, how are they going to make any of this show strange or different? Or, how's the show going to honestly stand out? Especially since a lot of the Star Trek shows we've been getting, really haven't hit the mark for so many of us. And, I had to be honest with you. I think that their execution of the show, the way that the show actually looks very nice, doesn't it? It looks like Star Trek. It's not 100% accurate. We're not always going to get 100% accuracy in a show, but it feels like they were trying to do that.
Right.
And, we don't have any of those weird, where the spaceship or the Enterprise flips down and does a backflip and like a strange turn. We don't get any of those motion sickness, ridiculous shots where they're just trying to.
There's a few.
Yes, but it feels, at least to me, it feels like what they're showing on is not something that's absolutely ridiculous.
Right, that's true.
Where it doesn't look like it's even functionally possible for a ship to do these maneuvers.
Right.
Because it isn't. They just could do it in a computer and they just showing off. So I think that as far as I'm concerned, I think that this show is kind of a return to the look of Star Trek. And let's just be honest, these shows are not original. There's nothing original in any of this. We're not getting this sort of rewritten show that's the most incredible writing we've ever seen. We haven't seen that. And, even in the sense that I've noticed in regards to their uniforms, there's a lot on the appearance of these actors looking a certain way. You know, like I am enjoying every time they have to pull down their well-fitted shoulder pad enhanced uniform with darts, and they're all so incredibly attractive and their bodies are so perfect. And it started to get me to realize that I believe that the confidence that these officers have when they do have the confidence is kind of like subtle and not so subtle sexual innuendos. And when I last streamed with you, Robert, I had said that first episode was the sex episode. And I think that that's what the show kind of is focusing on a lot. You know, I think what makes Strange New World so strange is just that subtle intimacy innuendos in the show between practically everyone who wants to get it on. We have where Spock is about to mount his wife scene, and I'm like, well, we don't usually see that in Star Trek. And another one in the last episode we saw where finally the captain is in bed with somebody. He's nude, and I'm like, well, they knew I would love an episode where the captain is. He's nude.
Buff. You gotta love Pike. He's a hunk of burning love.
Stroking his body, and I'm like, wow, this is great.
And she was
yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, it's kind of sad to see him look so attractive and beautiful with this sense that, he's going to succumb to this predicted fate. But this show has enough intimacy, Robert, to even satisfy me. And I'm very particular. So maybe, the show is really about, the intimate interactions. And the story in itself is completely irrelevant. We know that they're pretty much plagiarizing by not giving credit to anybody. I just have to enjoy the show for what it is, which is a lot of eye candy.
I like the storyline. I mean, I still have a real problem. I just don't think any of this doesn't make much sense to people, but I don't feel it's at all authentic. Like when I look at it, I don't believe the design of the sets still. They're all too big. They would never have sets that are that big in a spaceship, the Enterprise. I don't believe the uniforms, the colors, and people say, well, why,
They've got shoulder pads, Robert. They've got shoulder pads.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this stuff and like, come on. And all of the detailing, like having the chevron or the Delta shield in the uniforms. I mean, what I sometimes wonder, do they know that the uniforms in Star Trek were color-coded because it shows you immediately what department the characters... I don't understand that because, they've got support services at Con and Ops when they should be Command. They should be in Command Gold. And they're not in Command Gold because visually they think that would be too boring. Having, like, when you see those shots, when you see the Con and Ops are in red and he's in gold, they just do that because it looks good. Not because it makes, and I sit there and I look at that and I'm like, that makes no sense. These characters are not in the proper uniform color, and they don't care.
No,
they just don't. They don't. And the thing is, in modern Star Trek, there is absolutely no. The production designer is a good guy, but the producers could care less about creating a world that's believable. Like if I were to go in and tell them that, I'll bet you if I said to Alex Kurtzman, hey, it really is difficult for me to watch any scene on the bridge because you have the wrong color of tunic with your Con and Ops people. And he'd probably say, who cares? and that's the thing, because the Star Trek universe was so important to me because it did have that verisimilitude. And it none of it, like having a window on the bridge, like a literal window. Which makes no sense because when you're in space, having a window, you can't see very far. You have an imaging system like the Enterprise in the original series, magnification 10. You'd have a 10 times magnification to see a ship in the distance. If a ship was like 2 miles away, much less 100,000 kilometers, you couldn't see anything. So the fact that they have a window, I'm like, and they've been doing this in Star Trek 09. It drives me crazy. I'm like, a window would do you no good in a starship. It doesn't, and yet they do it. And they make it look cool with all these readouts and stuff, and they can have overlays, and they can have your cake and eat it too. But the vulnerability of a window, and someone can say, well, Rob, in the Cage, they made it look like there was a window. I'm like, you know what? The cooler heads prevailed. It's an imaging system. So it's just weird. So I have a problem. I can't always By the way,
No.
Kaz Graphics is here, and for dinner tonight, I had Beecher's handmade mac and cheese.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we had some left from the old house that Kaz had sent us. I had some tonight for dinner, and it was delightful. And then I caught Gilbert up on. I was getting more, and he was licking off my plate. He apparently liked it as much as I did. But it's still. I mean, the modern Star Trek, the way it all looks, like I can't get past Pike's hair. Like, how much pomade do you put, or pomade? Whatever. You look at, like,
come on,
what?
that's for women and people who like to see men like that. It's total eye candy, Robert. That's what this show is. Total TNA. This show is TNA all the way.
But I look at that and I'm like, that nobody in a military situation is going to put that much product in it. I mean, that isn't just you get up in the morning, you fix your hair. That's a half an hour worth of work with product and a blow dryer. Trust me, I could do that. I could rock that hairstyle, but who would want to? It would take too much work. And when I look at that, I just find that to be silly. Like, I look at it and I'm like, yeah, okay, he looks good. But my friend Sean, God rest his soul, he had hair very similar to Pike's. And it took him an hour. We'd go to his house and waited for him for an hour to do his hair. And I look at that and I'm like, come on. Like, they were on that Ion Storm planet a couple of episodes ago, and like his hair is perfect.
Hair is perfect.
And you look at it and you just, come on, man. And they don't care.
They don't care. Let's be honest. They spent more time placing the darts so that it would go around the breasts and the fine pecs in each character in just the right way. That's the main purpose of these uniforms. The color was not the focus. They had to get the curves and the hugging on their firm, beautiful, bodies just right.
Yeah, but it's still kind of ridiculous. I mean, I'll watch it. I mean, but I'm like, come on, what kind of military command structure is this? Everybody talks to each other like it's casual work day. You know what I mean? It's like, hey,
yes.
We're not really in the military, quasi. And I'll tell you something. I would have thought that I would have hated Lael, Noonien Singh. I think she's a great character. Right. The big problem is she's related to Khan. Like, that was some Akiva Goldsman bullshit. I'm like, come on, you guys, give me a break. It related to Khan. Get off the Khan thing. I mean, why do you have? It's like, why does everybody have to be related to everybody else? You know who's not related to us, but who should be because he's that cool? Lael Rockwell. Lael Rockwell, welcome to Midnight Musings.
What is going on? How are you?
Hey, Lael.
What movie were you at?
Man, I went to go see Jurassic Park. I loved it.
You loved it?
I loved it, bro. I had no problems with it at all. I loved it. I loved every bit of it.
I don't know if we're hearing your microphone, by the way.
Hold on.
I think he said he went to go see Jurassic Park, Robert.
I think
I'll fix it. Hold
you
on.
Still sound good, but
hold on. Give me a second, because every time I come in here, it does that. So it's on the default. How am I sounding?
It's okay. We can still hear you. So you can. That's fine. You know what you can hear?
Wait. How do I sound now?
Now, there you go, buddy. There you go.
Yes.
There
I go.
There you go. I mean, you are an engineer here, so.
Yeah, I got her. So yeah, I went to go see Jurassic Park and I loved it. I don't trust. See, when I go see like this, bro, and I hear critics, I trust them less. Like, literally. That's just the way I feel, because I think everything's based off of interpretation. Everybody has their own interpretation of certain films. They may draw from it. They may take a message from it. They may take something totally different that everyone else missed. For me, I enjoyed every bit of it, bro. I loved everything about this film. The message, the character development, how every character kind of meshed and met at one particular point. Man, I loved it. I didn't have a problem with it. I was entertained, and I did not fall asleep. I didn't get tired. I was following it the whole way through.
That's good.
So me, in my personal opinion, I loved it.
Hey, look,
That's
you know
right.
what?
How are you doing tonight, Lael?
Huh?
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I just love the movie.
Good.
I've been watching a lot of your streams, Lael.
Yeah.
The action figure streams. You've been streaming like a madman. Your shows are always good.
Yeah, man, I've been having a good time, bro.
It's been good.
I've been having a great time, man. Like we did our figure flex Friday today. That was a blast. I loved it. Yeah, I've been having fun, man. And I got my Mark. Rob, I got my Mark 5 today, bro.
So,
Finally.
yeah, well, mine will shortly. You know what's coming finally? I mean, Toys Wonderland, paying off things, paying them. I had like 10 figures I paid off. I have to tell Toys Wonderland, I'm like, yo, you got to send me stuff. You know what they finally shipped me?
What?
And I wish I was on a stream with Will. Pennywise.
Oh, you finally got it.
It's in the mail. But it's one of these things. Like I look at all the stuff that I've paid off, and I have to go through it. And there are things that I paid off. Like I think they were looking for Ebony Maw, and which I paid off in October.
Yeah.
And I paid it off with a throne. The throne they couldn't find, so they just finally sent me Ebony Maw. It's May. It was May. They shipped it to me May. I got it in end of May. So it was like, what is that? 6 months, 7 months, and I have to go through and I have like 10 figures I paid off that they haven't shipped me yet.
So let me tell you this quick story. So Toys Wonderland. It took them about a week from the time that I actually paid the shipping for my Mark 5. So they sent it through DHL. So it arrives to New York. It's delayed in New York a day, but it still says that it was supposed to be here yesterday on the 9th, which I didn't anticipate. I was like, you know what? It's not going to arrive on the 9th. Even though it said that, I was like, all right, whatever. So then today, I checked my DHL tracking, and all it had listed was select or shipping date selected. I called DHL. They said, "Oh no, it's on the truck. It's on your way to you." So that was going through this all day long. So I waited around about 5:30. I knew they closed at 6. So I just drove. It took me 15 minutes. I just drove over to DHL. I was like, "Listen, I'm looking for a package. It says it's on the truck. It never arrived." Guy took my tracking number, went in the back. Took him about maybe 10 minutes. Goes in the back, comes back out with my Mark 5. He said it was on the pallet. I was like, you know what? But the reason why I say that is because what they're telling me is globally right now, DHL is suffering a shortage. In my area alone, there was only 2 drivers that handles my entire district.
Yeah, I mean,
so right now they don't have drivers. Yeah,
it's so weird. Do people not want to work? It's so bizarre to me. And like, I won't complain. You know what I did do? I'm gonna admit this to you guys live on the air. So I paid off my Ecto 1, the Ghostbusters 6 scale Ecto 1.
You paid it off.
I paid it off. You know what? I asked for a refund. I asked for a refund because the shipping was $2,000.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it was $2,000, and I'm like, first of all, I don't know where I'd put it in here because it's so damn big anyway. But it was like $1,900 shipping, and I'm like, I'll buy one at Frankenson's one day. One day I'll get an Ecto 1, and they're re-releasing it anyway. I mean, for that $3,000, I'll get a new tumbler.
$3,000, bro? Really?
Well, that was how much it was the retail price.
But $2,000 just the shipping.
And you know what I was thinking?
From who?
From Toys Wonderland, from Hong Kong.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, so it was very funny. I was thinking to myself, because they won't send me the cash back, but they'll refund my money in store credit, and I'm like, that's a lot of figures. that's Anakin and the staff. that's
a whole bunch of figures, bro.
You know, I've got the Dark Knight Rises DX, the first DX figure. I'm like, now I can get the new one.
Yeah, my DX. You talking about the DX19?
Yeah, the DX19.
Yeah, I actually, it'll be here next week. I got it from Underground Figures. So, yeah, with Ray. So he actually it was good because I placed an order with him. He said, "Well, look, I put waiting list." He said because they didn't have as many. So I said, "All right, just put me on a waiting list anyway." And I know he Ray's good for it. So he contacted me like last week. He's like, "Hey, Lael, if you're still interested, we actually have one available if you want it." I said, "Of course I want it." It's like, okay, good. So it'll be here next week.
Yeah, it's a great. The first one was great. Oh, Swag Prop sends in a tip. Swag Cal says, "My 12-year-old cat died today.
Oh, man.
He was named Chewy, and he was as feisty and adorable like his Wookiee namesake. I just thought I'd remind everyone to hug and cherish your pets, as every moment you have with them is precious."
Heck yeah,
R.I.P.
man.
Chewy.
Sorry
Slack.
to hear that.
My cat Kubrick passed away when she was 12, and it was really rough because she was a great cat. I know what that's like. I mean, I had her through my entire marriage. I had her through multiple. I had her through when I made Free Enterprise, and you know she was the greatest cat in the world. She always slept on my head, like or curled up in my arm every night. And one day she was sick and her gums were bleeding, and she was very lethargic. And the next day I took her to the Overland Pet Clinic here in LA, where I'd been going to for years, and they told me she was in complete renal failure, and that they could keep her alive for 24 hours or not, and they put her to sleep right in my lap. And it was really weird because it was she died on her birthday on April 1st. She was born on April 1st, 1995, and she passed away April 1st, 2007. And it was such a strange thing because it was this beautiful, cloudless, crispy day in LA. It wasn't too hot. This spring was coming day. And, you know, I went in thinking my cat, where I could get her some medicine, she'd be fine. And I walked out catless. And I'll never forget what it was like to walk into the sun and look up because that cat had been there through these very significant moments in my life when I'd made Free Enterprise and my entire marriage. And you know, I really grew up as a person over those 12 years, and to lose a cat, to lose a pet is a very empty feeling. It's different than losing a person because it's more like you miss people, you miss who they are, but an animal is a presence, you know, an animal, and you while you can't converse with them via language, you absolutely can converse with them through feelings and emotions, and they're very in tune to you, and you know,
and they're definitely empathic. They're like animals are extremely empathic, bro. They can feel when you're experiencing like a level of disconnect, or if you're going through certain things. That's the way my dog. We had a Pekingese years ago named Buffy, and she basically died natural causes. They wanted to put her to sleep, but you know, we wanted to bury her ourselves. So, once she passed away, you know, we had a nice little funeral for her. Then she had her two kids, Ladybug and Boomer, and we raised them up until they were actually 15 as well. And then they passed away. So like especially Pekingese, like they have a very short lifespan. As you know, because you know, they're already small toy dogs anyway. So they had a very short lifespan. We buried them as well. Now I have like my dog Bone. He's basically a half. He's a pug, half pug and Jack Russell.
Oh wow,
he's just smart little
Jack
dog.
Russell,
too,
according
man.
to Gene Hackman and Crimson Tide, Jack Russell Terriers are the smartest dogs in the world.
In the world, bro. Literally, they are. Like, sir, he's extremely smart, bro. He is. Love him.
By the way, Zombie Da says in the chat, everybody should check out RRR or the movie RRR. I won't tell you what RRR stands for. You got to figure that out for yourself when you see the movie. It's an incredible film. It's on Netflix, but if you can catch it in the theater, I read an article that it came out for one day this past week in the theater, but they're going to re-release it in the theater again. So go see it in the theater because it's amazing.
It's one of the most incredible films ever made. Of course, you know, India, which probably makes more films than any other place in the world, has a wonderful film production group. But to be honest with you, this one was just so amazing. And anybody who hasn't seen it, please watch RRR either on Netflix where it's available, or if you have the opportunity to go see it in the theater, you will not be disappointed. It in itself is like a summer blockbuster. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, no, it's incredible. It's incredible, and there's a great dance number.
Is it RRR?
Actually, it is. RRR is very delicious. RRR.
You know, I wondered that, and I thought to myself, I better watch this film since it's RRR. And you know, I have to say that it is one in a line of some just the wonderful cinema that they put out there, guys, and it just blows you away. You will love everything in the film. It's almost perfect. I've never really seen anything like it. The animals are CGI, but even with that, the film quality itself is just amazing. The writing is amazing. It's really a beautiful film.
And it's on Netflix?
I believe it's on Netflix. Yes.
Yeah, it
I have
is.
to watch it. You definitely have to take a look at it.
Well, I was going to ask you, first of all, I want to say that Joe Hempel sends in a $5, I don't know if that's a super sticker, or just send it in for support. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Much obliged. And, of course, Tom Jr. Jackson says, Rob, Steelbooks are on pre-order for Doctor Strange 2 at Best Buy, and Rob, director's commentary will be on it. That is true. I can't wait to get that. Obviously, I have all the Marvel Steelbooks except Spider-Man No Way Home, so if anyone, I slept on that, getting a house will do that to you. But that is very cool. I already pre-ordered the Steelbook for Doctor Strange. Lael, I wanted to ask you, we started talking about all this great genre television that's on. Everything from For All Mankind, Kenobi, Miss Marvel, which we haven't yet talked about, The Boys, which I'm just absolutely loving, which is absolutely insane. I can't believe what they show us every week. What are some of the things that you are digging right now that are streaming?
Okay. So of course, I first of all, I have to say that I am Cali sick right now. I'm really Cali sick, bro. Me and Toya have been sick. It's like Cali is like a relationship that you can't end. you get so immersed in it. So anyway, I just want to say that. But since I've been home, so what I did was I binged, of course. I had to binge Stranger Things. Yeah. And I think that basically this is one of the best seasons that they've ever done. I love it. I love everything about this season. I mean, I know a lot of people say that the nostalgia of the first season is always going to exist, and it does. But I think this is, in my opinion, one of the best seasons that they've ever done. I love it. I can't wait for the second half.
I agree with you. I think it's very strong.
It's The Boys is starting out with a bang. Like literally, some of the stuff that they are able to get away with
in many different ways, Lael.
In so many different ways, bro. I'm like, yo, the stuff that they're getting away with. I'm like, wow. But it makes sense because it is The Boys, and basically that's how it is. And they're not going to pull any type of punches when it comes to that show. So I definitely love that. When we talk about it, Miss Marvel is, I can't say enough. It's adorable. It's an adorable show, and I think the young actress, is nailing it. And Obi-Wan, I mean, again, all things subjective. A lot of people, hate it, love it. I'm enjoying good. I enjoy it because of Star Wars, and and I love Star Wars. Obi-Wan, who doesn't love that? You know what I mean? And I think, in my opinion, the character that's stealing the show away from everybody, in my opinion, is young Leia. She is knocking it out the park. I love that character.
She's great. The actress who plays her is great.
We're definitely getting good TV. Am I still here?
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
No, you're still. Now, I want to read something. Our friend Cameron Pasha said something really interesting about Miss Marvel that I think, he hasn't been on YouTube much, and I said to him, I go, you should go on YouTube and say this, but I think that he said something really interesting, and in terms of like, a lot has been made of representation and talking about, but this is what he said about Miss Marvel, and again, this is Cameron Pasha said this. I just spent the past hour watching Miss Marvel with my mother. I have to say that the pilot episode stunned me. I have never seen such an authentic portrayal of a Pakistani Muslim family ever in Hollywood. I laughed hysterically throughout the episode because it was my culture on display in loving affection for all of its authenticity and ridiculousness. The overprotective, gossipy, lecturing mom, the dad whose bizarre sense of humor is completely disconnected from how he's perceived by others, the religious zealot brother with a soft spot for his little sister, that was me in my youth, and Kamala Khan, the teenage girl who doesn't fit in at high school and escapes to her imagination. This is my niece to the core. The honesty and specificity blew me away. When Kamala's mom lectures her on not wearing skimpy costumes like the other girls, every single Pakistani on the planet will cringe with recognition. The loving family that doesn't know how to show its love except by wrapping it in a shield of restriction is every single Pakistani family in the world. When Kamala has to come up with an elaborate plan to escape her home to go to a superhero cosplay convention, it reminded me of the hoops my sister and I had to jump through to go to our first ever Doctor Who convention in the 1980s. It was so painfully real that I nearly cried with laughter. Many of you won't catch the Urdu phrases used by her parents, but they're exactly the kind of snippy, hard-edged words used daily by every single Pakistani parent I've ever known. The scene where Kamala's mother is gossiping with a nosy auntie about some Pakistani girl who went off to Europe to find herself instantly reminded me of the gossip my sisters had to endure in the community when they went on a train trip through Europe in their 20s. Even without the superhero element, I would watch this show every week because it is a hilarious sitcom and social commentary about what it means to be growing up in America from a conservative Muslim background. And the reason I thought that was so great was, as everybody's ripping on the show for whatever reason, when you hear from a genuine Pakistani Muslim about the representation they're getting in this show and how authentic it is, I think that's sometimes forgotten by the fan community. And it's added definitely to the show. That kind of authenticity really makes it. And I think sometimes, look, I'm as critical as the next person. Like, to be honest, I've tried to reconcile the fact that ultimately Moon Knight wound up to me to be a huge disappointment because it wasn't the character of Moon Knight that I fell in love with, this sort of film noir version of Batman and all the weird Egyptian mythology and Khonshu fighting Amit in over the Great Pyramids. I'm like, what is this? Ultimately, I enjoyed Oscar Isaac's performance, but it wasn't a show about Moon Knight, not really. And so, I mean, I appreciate what they tried to do, but I think Miss Marvel, a lot of people aren't seeing it for what it is, and I think it's a delightful show. It's Marvel doing a John Hughes show, it could have been done in an '80s teen comedy. Like something like Bend It Like Beckham or things like that. And I thought it was delightful. I really liked it.
I agree with you, Robert. As you know, I know Cameron very well because we used to stream together on Midnight's Edge every week, and he is a close friend of mine. And I did see this post that you're referring to that Cameron posted a few days ago, and I responded to it mainly because, this show, Miss Marvel, is a fun show, and it is, as far as I can tell, it's meant for, young adults, and they will cherish this show. This is a fun show about a young girl who has an incredible imagination. And I remember seeing so many girls like her when I went to high school, and it's wonderful to see what's going on in her mind and the things that are relevant to her. But it is also a culturally significant show. And as a New Yorker, I've seen this culture from the outside and enjoyed seeing it shown in a dignified and respectful manner, which is what I told Cameron. And I also think that Disney needs to start to do this type of programming across the board. This is the type of shows that they should be doing. And it's true that there will be a lot of, let's say, men and women over the age of 40 where this is not going to be your favorite show, but it doesn't really matter. They need to start making more programming like this where they can, let's say as she gets older and she is an older person or whatever it is, can grow from this. I think that it was a refreshing show. It was fun. And while it's not perfect, we need to see things like this. It's encouraging. It's something that was uplifting. And there will be kids watching this 20 years from now enjoying Miss Marvel.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I mean, I'm all for, you call it representation now, but I love seeing stories about cultures and people that aren't me. Like, I know who I am, and give me a story about a culture from another part of the world that has different traditions. I'm all in because I feel like I'm learning something. And it's great. By the way, Mario Lopez, who's been a member of the channel, I think he jumped on board and re-upped his membership. He has a tag here. Thank you, Mario. Good to see you. Say hi to your mom for me. And I think that this kind of representation is the kind of representation that we need, in that it gives us insight into other cultures, which I think I very much appreciate that. I don't see this as them going, quote unquote, woke. I think this is exactly the kind of show that legitimately, to me, if you're going to show me something of another culture, I love that. By the way, as an aside, somebody yesterday put up a 4K upscale of Blood In, Blood Out, which I call the East Los Angeles Godfather. It's a favorite movie of mine, directed by Taylor Hackford, that was based on the writings of Chicano poet Jimmy Baca, and I love that movie, and it's the full 3-hour plus version. And so I don't know how long it's going to stay up on YouTube, but obviously we hosted on Midnight's Edge a cast reunion of the show with director Taylor Hatford and everybody like Benjamin Bratt. But that's another movie I love because it showed me a culture that I'd always been interested in, which was Chicano culture, and I'm obviously not Chicano, and it's a great movie, and you can watch it as an aside. Kenny Crayley Jr. says, Rob, have you been keeping up with Superman and Lois? No, I haven't seen any of season 2 yet, but I do love that show. I loved season 1. And Tobor, which is, of course, Robot Backwards, says, and Lael, nuff said. 2 incredible people. What?
Thank you.
What am I, some kind of chopped liver here? What?
My brother T.
But
we got a chance. I told you we got a chance to hang out with him, bro. Like I said, besides yourself, he's another cool dude from LA, bro.
I'm so bummed that I couldn't get down. You know, it was at first I just couldn't get down to Anaheim. I couldn't get down there, and you guys look like you were having so much. I didn't realize you were going to go. You went to Disneyland twice, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I went to. Well, no. You go first.
Yes, I did go to Disneyland twice. I went and took my mother for one day, and then I met our group, our Uncivilized Scoundrels group, more or less, for the second day. So the first day I pushed my mother around the entire day in her wheelchair, and we had a great time, you know. And fortunately, El Profesoro, Mario, kind of showed me where to go because I'd never been there before. And then the next day, of course, was when our group met. I left Mom at home, and we had a wonderful time. It was the Uncivilized Scoundrels crew who was there, and that was, you know, one of the highlights of the trip for me.
I have to say, Superhero Displays sends in a tip. Superhero Displays, actually you can't really see it because he's behind Prince, but here's my Gladiator Thor. Thank you. And Superhero Displays sent this to me. He also sent me a Mego figure of Michael Burnham from Discovery, of course.
Oh, that's nice.
One of my favorite characters. No, I have not. I'm not using her as a voodoo doll. Superhero Displays, but I do.
So I guess you're not going to get the XO6 figure, huh?
Okay, here's the thing. So for those of you who don't know, XO6, high-end Star Trek collectibles company, they're putting out lots of figures. I have all the figures they've released so far. They just put up Michael Burnham for pre-order. I'm just not going to go there. Not going to go there.
But it looks nice. It's a nice looking figure.
It's a great figure. It's a great figure. The costume is impeccable. I just, I hate Discovery. I hate it. And not only do I hate Discovery, more than if Michael Burnham was in a different uniform, I might buy it. I hate those Discovery uniforms. I will not. The only Discovery figure that I will buy is Emperor Georgiou from the Mirror Universe, the Michelle Yeoh figure. I will buy that because it's the Mirror Universe and I can justify that. So, I don't think if you look at my action figure collection, you would call me any kind of a racist.
No, of course not. And from what I understand, the Pike figure is also part of the Discovery series. So just keep that in mind.
It is, and I think I'm going to buy that Pike figure. Maybe.
Oh yeah, I'm getting.
But again, I don't like the asymmetry of the. I don't like. I would much rather have him in his Strange New Worlds outfit. But XO6 is killing it. They got Q coming out next, which is exciting. Superhero Displays goes on to say, I've loved each episode of Obi-Wan. However, after 4, I've become really nervous, as so much has to be tied up in 2 episodes. I just don't see how they can do it. And for me, if they screw up Kenobi, I may never get over it. Ease my fears, please. Well, I have to say, I love the first episode of Kenobi. I love seeing his life and where he was at. I mean, people say he's suffering from PTSD. He's not suffering from PTSD. He doesn't have post-traumatic stress syndrome. He has guilt. He's got survivor's guilt because, he was a great Jedi. His Padawan became Vader. Right underneath his nose, the Emperor Palpatine, a Sith Lord, rose to power and then was able to corrupt Anakin. So his survivor's guilt, Order 66, the Jedi being slaughtered, in terms of anybody failing to do their job, Obi-Wan Kenobi's right up there and one of the great failures of all time. So 10 years of exile on Tatooine overseeing Luke. I really love that first episode. I felt his survivor's guilt. I thought it was great. What I have not liked about the Kenobi show is why is it you have to bring in other characters from the Star Wars universe other than Owen Lars and Luke, you've rescued Leia twice in 4 episodes now. Twice. And to me, I'm like, the problem with the Kenobi show is the story isn't necessarily about Kenobi. He's not going to get over his survivor's guilt because of rescuing Leia. I mean, what happened, happened. And now, if anything else, I mean, I like the fact that he's confronting Anakin, but like now we're all waiting for another duel between Anakin and Kenobi. And it's like, well, we got one in Revenge of the Sith. We're going to get another one in A New Hope. I would like it more if the story, they don't trust their characters enough. And to me, one of the things I don't understand is all you need to know about Star Wars is in the movie Star Wars. You know, you look at it and you're like, okay, where did George Lucas come up with this? He was inspired by the films of Kurosawa, specifically The Hidden Fortress, also Seven Samurai. He was inspired by Joseph Campbell's the Thousand Faces or whatever. You know, so George Lucas didn't have other Star Wars to look back on. He was being inspired by the great tales of the world and also Kurosawa's work and things like that. Why they keep going back to other Star Wars stories for these new Star Wars stories, I don't understand. Look to other things. Allow yourself to be inspired. Like, for instance, if Boba Fett decides not to be a bounty hunter and wants to instead be a crime lord, look to a Michael Mann movie. You know, look to James Caan in Thief, or look to Heat. You know, look to these other things.
Yeah, that would have been so cool if it was like a Michael Mann style film. Or something.
Well, that's what I don't understand, and I find it so baffling to me that Star Wars was inspired by other things that aren't Star Wars. You know, and I told people, I was saying this on a stream the other day. I go, look, if you're going to write a Star Trek story or a Star Wars story about Obi-Wan Kenobi, take all of the Star Wars out of it. Just take Obi-Wan Kenobi and tell me the story of a man who utterly failed 10 years ago. And he's put himself in exile. He believes he deserves to be where he is now. He's been disgraced. Everyone he knows is dead. He allowed evil to rise up in front of him. His Padawan turned to the dark side. I mean, here's a man who failed every way a man can fail. But forget that it's in the Star Wars universe. What does a man do to come back from that? What does he do? He doesn't go rescue someone else in the Star Wars universe. You've got to, if he's going to rescue somebody, who's he going to rescue? What's it going to, and instead, you know, they always fall back and make the Star Wars universe really, really small. There's a great Kenobi novel. It's not great, but it was pretty good. Where he does something on Tatooine more along the lines of what Boba Fett was doing with the Tusken Raiders, although in the Kenobi book, the Tusken Raiders are the bad guys. And that's what I would suggest any writer do. Forget the Star Wars of it all will take care of itself. Obi-Wan Kenobi, the design work, that'll come in later. What you need to do is tell me a story about a man who has failed utterly and has for 10 years carried this horrible guilt around with him that he can't escape it every single day. How does a man like that, a great writer will extrapolate on that idea and come up with a great story to tell. Then once you have the story, then bring the Star Wars of it in.
And in Obi-Wan's defense, and you know, this, I'm not saying anything new that anyone doesn't already know, but I always, you know, interpreted this story as, you know, he didn't realize that he had these factors working against him with Anakin. You know, Anakin was being influenced by someone else. And unfortunately, you know, that's how the situation happened. If it had been a regular family, they would have had a fight and then they would have made up after this. But, you know, this was a much more serious split that, you know, was incredibly definitive in his life. And Obi-Wan couldn't go back and retrace his steps or reach out or do anything because he had to take care of the baby, Luke. So, you know, his obligation never ended. Now he's committed himself to being this caregiver, this person who's looking over someone. So I always interpreted him doing this, you know, he's kind of raising or maybe not directly raising this child, but looking after the welfare of someone. And he's doing his just duty on that. And, you know, of course he's going to have regrets, but, you know, I never felt like he should be 100% responsible for what happened because of, you know, Palpatine's interference. So,
Sure.
you know,
I agree with
always,
that.
yeah. So, in regards to how he's being portrayed, I do want that intimacy from it. And I've said this before. I want to know him intimately. Well, maybe I'm overstepping my boundaries here. I wish we got more intimacy from this character in its development. And we are seeing little tidbits, like when Leia says, "Are you my real father?" And you're like, oh my gosh, you know, like those little intimacies, or when he's holding her hand. And those are kind of the things that I want to see, because I don't see that normally every day, you know. So I think that in regards to getting to know the character, I can see that development, and they can still do that maybe over the next few years. But that's what I'm craving, and I'm still looking for it. And when they do throw us a bone, little moments like that, it does mean a lot to me to see it.
Well, I don't disagree with you, Lael. What do you think?
It's a bit tough because these discussions about Star Wars in general, I have to first say that the worst part about these discussions more so is it. Okay, there's one thing when you are opinionated about, or you have an opinion about the story, the pacing, you know, certain characters and stuff like that, character development. That's one thing. It's another thing when you use the excuse of disliking a character, how you use racial undertones to and disguise it with your dislike for a certain character.
Right.
Those are certain things that rhetoric is something that I shy away from. But if me
100%.
myself, but here's the thing. If me myself being a black man does it, then automatically people would point at me and say, "Oh, you're using a race card." No, you used it. Right. Because you exposed it. So that's why I you know, when it comes to B1, I always said I'm going to actually reserve my judgment for the show as a whole until it's done. I want to see it done first. I want to see this season end. Then I'll basically be back to, and I'll be able to go in and, you know, pass my judgment on what I believe, you know, how I believe the story is being portrayed, his character is being portrayed, whether or not, you know, these characters are there to push the story forward, or if we're going to see progression, or if in fact it was a waste of time. I'm going to wait and reserve it until I've watched the entire show, because right now, pretty much on every stream that I've been on, it has been extremely divisive and almost damn near toxic, like to the point where it was crazy, because last night we did Uncivilized Scoundrels.
Yes.
But before that, I was on Brother Cousin's show, and he brought up, you know, before I dipped off to get on Uncivilized Scoundrels, he asked me about Obi-Wan, and I gave my opinion, and I left. I was expecting their conversation to progress. I didn't watch it. So today he jumps on live on Instagram and talks about how he never wants to do a discussion about Obi-Wan again because of how toxic it got on his show, to the point where he was almost, you know, he was really emotional sort of about it. He was just trying to really temper the whole discussion, but how he had to really unsubscribe one individual because of what happened last night. And he said it wasn't a panel. This discussion was happening in the chat.
Right.
So that's the thing, is like on every show that I've been on, and when it comes to not even just Obi-Wan, but in Star Wars in general, a film or a show itself that has, since day one, since we saw New Hope, has sprouted diversity, alien species,
right.
Everything. So this is the thing.
Yeah, man,
so
those alien chicks in Mos Eisley, I would have hit them.
Exactly.
I mean, not hit them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but a show that has, from day one, Leia was a strong, eccentric female.
Yeah, this is some rescue.
Forward. Yes,
I mean,
he was basically a vocal and strong female.
Into the garbage
so
chute,
we see
flyboy.
these things. Yeah, we see these things in Star Wars. We've seen it throughout. We've seen strong. I mean, Mon Mothma. We've seen these people, these strong characters in the series. But then we get to now, that we live in this world, this society where it's so vocal about inclusivity and how people have their disdain of that. They don't like. It's like it's gotten even worse. So sometimes talking about Star Wars as a Star Wars fan is dangerous territory.
Yeah,
because Star Wars fans really hate Star Wars the most.
Yeah, it's funny when it comes to, like, I remember when I was buying action figures, they made twin pod cloud car pilots. Mm-hmm. And one of the figures, they made a black twin pod cloud car pilot. Yeah. And I love that they did that, because I had 2 twin pod cloud cars, and I bought 2 black twin pod cloud car figures because I like the fact that you could delineate between the pilots inside each twin pod cloud car, and if you just had the same white figure, they look like. I thought it was cool that that like 2 different. This is how I think, and I thought that was really cool that they did that. Like, they didn't have to do that, but they did that, and it was like, and the whole thing about, it's so bizarre that these conversations about diversity, like Moses Ingram, first of all, is a great actress. I mean, she was in the tragedy of Macbeth. I mean, the Coen brother, Ethan Coen, put her in
and Queen's Gambit,
and she was great in Queen's Gambit. And she's a beautiful woman, and I think she looks great in the Inquisitor costume. And look at, I mean, the other Inquisitor's Sun Kang, my beautiful son Kang, who's got the greatest hair in the world, and he's Korean. So it's like, and then you've got the Rupert Friend is the Grand Inquisitor. I don't understand, like you said, like it's like you've got representation. The 3 Inquisitors, one of them's Asian, one of them's a black woman, and one of them's a white dude. So it's like, there you go. There's everybody represented. And yet I don't understand. I mean, my objection more is it's always about the writing. For me, it's first and foremost always about the writing.
And that's the point. That's the point. Is that a character or an actor's choice in portraying a character or actor's portrayal? Number 1, she's taking direction. Right. Number 2, she's only delivering everything that's actually been written. But because of that, she is being targeted and has been targeted. People wrote her character off before the show even aired.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And the thing is, it's like, being a Star Wars fan, man, is just like, it's more divisive than Marvel. It's more divisive than actually, to be quite honest, Rob, it's more divisive in this community than it is in Star Trek. Period.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I mean,
it is terrible. And it's like, for me right now, I feel like I have to be a Star Wars fan in the privacy of my own home. Well, and that's terrible because you can't be vocal about it. Because the minute I say something, then somebody in the chat would be like, "Oh, he's a this. Oh, he's a that. Or no, this was terrible." I'm like, it's all things subjective, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. If I respect yours, I would actually also expect you to respect mine. But it's just like, it's hard, bro. Like, it's really hard to be a Star Wars fan.
And other thing, I'm sorry, Robert, I did just also want to mention in regards to the actors and these shows, and the second that they veered off the path of introducing this new character. She's a new character, and it should have been like, meet the new person who's going to be playing this exciting new character. And it should have been like, she would have been saying things that said, my experience has been amazing to be able to work with such a great team, and I've gotten so much support. And I've been so proud to play this character. This is one of the pinnacles of my career. We didn't get that, and I'm very disappointed in that sense, because as soon as people stop talking about your performance as an actor in a show and they focus on other things, it's like your career is over. You're done. Now all of a sudden, what should have been the focus of what a great performance you gave, how promising you are, how she went from the Queen's Gambit to this and elevated. And as soon as they stop talking about what a great performer you are and how amazing you are, it's like your career is over. Now all of a sudden they don't want to talk about how good of a performer you are. Now all of a sudden your agent isn't going to be about stuff because you've had to deal with all this other nonsense that no one else has to deal with. It's a career ender, and I think it's ridiculous.
Well, I'll tell you something.
I just go ahead, Rob.
Well, I was going to say, what solves everything is if this character was immediately shown to be. If I had written this show, I would have clearly she was a youngling that we saw at the beginning of the show. and she was in the Jedi Temple. She was rescued. If the first scene that you saw with her, and this is what I do not understand about this show, was with Vader. And Vader has basically, for the last 10 years, one of the things we haven't seen before, this is Vader's charge.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
he took her under his wing, and she's working for him. And I do not understand why, if they had introduced her, and Vader is like, you know, I made sure you got out of the Jedi Temple. I've been here and overseen your training. And, you know, you have grown into be a powerful Inquisitor, and I'm very proud of what you're doing. But for 10 years, you've looked for Kenobi. Why haven't you found him?
Yeah.
You know, and if you had couched her as Vader's charge, and that Vader said, even you are not beyond suffering my wrath, you know, and so you gave her, that would have solved all problems. And the thing is, they haven't, unfortunately, she should be a kick-ass character. And all they do is they show Sun Kang yelling at her every decision she makes. You shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing that. You know, you're the third sister. I'm ahead of you. And the way they've treated her character in the story has not been helpful. It's not been helpful for her. And I don't understand why the show didn't juxtapose Obi-Wan is on Tatooine. It would have been really interesting to see Vader and the two of them. You're juxtaposing these two characters leading up to them clashing and Kenobi realizing Anakin was still alive and all that. And I think what really has let her down, Moses Ingram down, is the way her character was written. Mm-hmm. And because they constantly put her in a situation where she's being berated by her other fellow Inquisitor. You know, and I'm gonna tell Dad Vader on you. You know, I went and talked to Vader first, and I'm like, you know, I personally found that kind of offensive in a way, because her character was being belittled by another character on the show, and that gives the fan base like carte blanche. They feel the need. Well, if Sun Kang's berating her, we can berate her. You know, and the thing about that is these Inquisitors are the best of the best. You know, these should be top-notch people. You know, the fact that they're backbiting and going after each other, you haven't set them up enough. You should set them up as a team, and I really think, again, the writing has let her down, and I don't like that.
And that's the thing. That's a well-received explanation, and that's more understood because there is a direct science behind everything that you're talking about. It's filtered down. She's the actress. You have the writer and the director. She's given direction. She's given words.
Yes.
That's it.
That's it.
But my problem is that now somebody said in the chat earlier, I don't know who it was, but they said that they think it's Disney that has spouted more racism. And I'm like, well, that's something I don't understand, because Disney wasn't the ones that actually sent Moses Ingram hateful tweets and hateful inboxes. She posted on her Instagram so everybody can see this is what was happening to her. So
and you know what? It should be a joyous time. You get cast like Kelly Marie Tran had the same thing. She got cast in a Star Wars movie, and again, if they had written her as a kick-ass character, you know, and she got to do some cool shit, they wrote her. As a matter of fact, they wrote her terribly. They wrote Finn's character terribly. I mean, here's and they you know, it's not, if you want to cast racially diverse characters, which I'm all for, you better make sure that the writing lives up to your desire to be diverse, whether you're going to cast LGBTQ characters, whether you're going to cast people of color or whatever. You must make sure those characters are kick-ass, because they, like anyone else, those characters have to work harder too. You know.
And here's the thing though, but the thing is, my point is, you can't judge an actor's body of work in other films based off of the bad writing and direction that she might have been given from one particular show.
Not at all. I mean, I hate that we live in this kind of a world now. And
You know what I mean? Like it's
so like I grew up,
yeah.
you know, I grew up watching, like I didn't live in New York City. I lived in Seattle. So when I would watch Rudy Ray Moore's Dolomite, or I would watch Richard Roundtree as Shaft, or I would watch Slaughter Goes to Africa, you know, Jim Brown or whoever, Fred Williamson. I loved these movies because they were so far removed from the environment and the people that I knew. I mean, when I watched Shaft, I wanted to be Shaft, you know, and I didn't look at Shaft and go, "That's a black dude." I'm just like, shut your mouth. That's one of the coolest men I've ever seen. You know, and I guess, and same was true watching Asian cinema. Like I watched a lot of, whether it was Chinese martial arts, fantasy martial arts, or Japanese science fiction. Like I never watched Japanese movies and thought, well, those Japanese people, you know, I loved them, you know, and I loved watching. Like when you go to Korea, I've been to Korea. When you go to Korea, there's not a whole lot of racial diversity in Korea. And when you watch a Korean movie, I don't think to myself, you know, there's too many Korean people in this movie. What we need to see. Yeah. When I watch Parasite, I'm like, where's all the racial diversity? We don't think that way because when you go to Korea, there isn't. It's a pretty homogenous culture, and that's okay. And now it's so bizarre to me that we live in a world, like I never thought I would live in a world where people would complain about the color of actors and actresses.
Yep.
It's so bizarre to me because I've been watching actors and actresses of all shapes, sizes, colors, creeds. I mean, when I was watching blaxploitation movies like Larry Cohen's Black Caesar, you know, I watched those movies because of the color of the cast. That's why I watched Pam Grier movies like Coffee or Foxy Brown because of Pam Grier's blackness. That's why it was so great, you know. And Moses Ingram looks great as the character. And and I want that hot toy. I don't know if they'll ever make it, but I want that hot toy.
Oh yeah, they're gonna make it. They made her her lightsaber. They're gonna make her as a hot toy for sure.
I mean, I want all three of the Inquisitors, you know. But I think what you're saying, Lael, is absolutely true, and it's really depressing. You know, it's really depressing to hear this kind of.
Bro, I've been scrutinized. I've been attacked. I've been called so many different things because of my support for this actress, my support to want to see her succeed, my support for even wanting to see the show succeed. I've been called so many different things. I've been judged. I've been scrutinized, this, that, and the third. And I'm all in for it because, like I said, I can handle it. But I think it's a sad time to be a genre fan, in a sense.
Yeah,
it is. It's a sad time to be a genre fan, especially when you've grown up on these films. Had there been no social media, I'd have probably still had the same level of enjoyment that I've had with Star Wars for years. But because everyone is so vocal with keystrokes in the social media community, and the thing is, we have to understand and value each other's opinions. If it's something that you don't like, I have to value that and understand that there was something that you took away from it that didn't sit well with you. It just didn't spark that interest in you like it may have some people, and I can respect that. And we can agree to disagree, but at the same time, we can still say, yo, let's go down the street and have coffee. Nowadays, it gets so divisive and it gets toxic, and I know people don't like to hear that word toxic, but that's what has become.
Well,
people don't like to hear that. But my thing is, it's like it's getting to the point where now words and emotions have gotten evolved to people are just really, really hateful towards it. And it's just like, yo, like literally, I just talking about Star Wars, I kind of like, I don't know, bro. Like I cringe a bit because it's like I love it, but expressing that love has become extremely dangerous, bro. It is. It's become dangerous.
Well, let me ask you this: Do you see a way forward? Do you see like in terms of see to me, the way forward to quell all of this is to make a great show.
Yeah.
You know, and what I think is the most problematic thing of all, like when you have something like The Boys and it's being made for Amazon. the showrunners like Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen, who are the co-creators of the show, and then you've got Eric Kripke writing it. Amazon is like, you go and make that show. Like, you make it as extreme as you want. We don't have a brand to live up to. We just want you to make the greatest show possible. Disney from as a corporation has an agenda. And I think that their agenda based they have an agenda because they're trying to be all things to all people. You know, Disneyland's the happiest place on earth. They want people from all around the world to come, every shape, size, color, creed. They want to do that, and now in this post the world that we live in the last 10 years with all of this inclusion, diversity, equity, you know, all the stuff that's gone on lately, their attempts, I think, have been perceived as being, in a way, disingenuous. And I think what they need to do is, if you have a great character in a great story, especially Star Wars, because it's so scrutinized, you have a responsibility to make sure that you have the best story to tell and put in it whoever you want. Because if you've got a great story and that character is written to be kick-ass, you truly belong here with us amongst the stars. I mean, no one's going to go, oh, you just cast Lando Calrissian because you needed a black dude. No one thought that when Lando shows up with his cape and Lobot on landing bay 327 I'm the administrator of this facility. You know, people loved him immediately. They loved him. You loved, because, and also he was Billy D. Williams, Mahogany. You know, do you know where we're going to?
They picked someone who was incredibly attractive and very charismatic, and they let him ride with that feeling.
But they also gave you that.
Very seductive.
When he shows up, and even his intro, you got a lot of guts coming here after what you pulled, you know, and then the whole thing and then he hugs him. He what's going on, you pirate? That whole thing, the little, you loved him from the opening, from the way he was written to the way he was performed to the fact that and then Leia's like, oh yeah, hello. Like she doesn't trust him though. Very, you know, and it was a great scene, and good, that's all you need. You write somebody, you give them a great scene, nobody will care what color they are, what they're from. They won't even think about agenda. And that's what, if you're going to do that, you have to make sure that your writing and your storytelling is top notch, because otherwise in this day and age, this is the kind of thing that's going to happen, rightly or wrongly. It sucks. And I think that the problem was, man, if they introduced her and her first scene was with Vader, and you realize this was Vader's charge, that he had made sure she lived in the purge in the Jedi Temple, you know, that she turned and like he'd been raising her up in the dark side, people would have been like, love her.
And I would have liked to have seen a scene where he had his hands on her shoulders, like what we saw with Leia.
And juxtapose that. So Vader and Reva have the same kind of you know, it's poetry, you know, it's Star Wars is poetry. That's what you would have had, and you would have, people would have got it.
And there would have been nowhere to go, because if he has his hands on her, he's physically in contact with her, it's implying that they are close, that they're tight, and that he has that control over her would have been just absolutely intoxicating.
By the way, speaking of Star Wars, Nightcrawler sends in a super chat and says, I just got my new sideshow pieces today. Anakin Clone Wars Mythos statue to go with my Obi-Wan Clone Wars statue, as well as Han Solo in Carbonite 6th scale. See, there is still joy to be had, Lael, as you well know. Still joy to be had.
That Mythos statue of Anakin is wonderful. I was eyeballing that at Star Wars Celebration with Tobor, of all people, talking about how much I really like that statue, and being able to see that Mythos statue in person does make a big difference sometimes, to see whether you can make a decision about what you're going to pick up. So congratulations on that purpose. You made a great choice.
Hey, Rob, there are people in the chat saying that your mic is overloaded or your mic is popping or something like that.
Oh, you know what? That might be because I probably did something.
They said your gain, it turned down the gain or something like that. They said it's popping or something like that.
Really? No, I'm looking at my sound. It should be okay. I mean,
Yeah, Tom Junior
Yeah,
Jackson was saying that it was crackling or
it
something
was
like that.
crackling or
Oh,
something
maybe
like
I
that.
hit maybe I
Yeah.
hit my button or something. But it should be good now. Does it sound good to you guys?
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
I
Oh, okay.
think it
But
sounds good.
Okay.
yeah, I think it
Yeah.
sounds good. I mean, I'm guessing that they're hearing something totally different. So I'll
Yeah.
just make it point. Here's the thing. And congrats on the statue, my guy, man. I mean, it's incredible. The one thing I can say that was a golden mark for me was the simple fact that we were able to experience in something like a celebration where Star Wars fans actually came together
Mm.
and they were unified and they enjoyed everything it was well received. You had so many people walking around in cosplay. You had
You
the
took some great
enthusiasm.
pictures too.
Oh man, we had a ball. It was some enthusiasm from the fans, enthusiasms from the actors and the actresses, and like the panels were great, and just the whole community. I mean, everything was great, and it was good to be there. I mean, amongst that experience, and I think that there was nothing divisive about that at that point. Even if there were opinions, everybody was just so involved in having fun. So there's look, you said that do I see that it can be moved forward and it can progress?
Mm.
I think that again, all points are well received from everybody. I think Disney really, number one, and I said this yesterday on Uncivilized Scoundrels. The 6 episode theme has to go
Yeah, I agree.
because that's just not working. Because the reason why I say that is because 6 episodes of a series and you see how it feels rushed.
Oh yeah, and
There's
this
no way to
episode was
cut
only
that
30
down.
minutes.
It was only 33 minutes, bro. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you see how it's rushed. Had they basically made this like a 12 episode season or 11 episode season or something like that, it would have felt less rushed. I mean, come on, man. If we're looking at and we see how like shows like on Netflix, like Stranger Things is killing it, and I loved it, and I was so engaged,
Well, those
and I loved
episodes
that the
are over an
character
hour.
grew. Exactly. Like they need now. Come on, man. Disney, y'all got the money, man. Don't. You have the money to do it. And this is Obi-Wan we're talking about. You got to do him justice, man. Like you really have to do him more justice than what you have. Like seriously. So I'm just interested to see how these last 2 episodes will play out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll just take it from there, man. Like
Yeah.
I really, because I mean, this last episode to me, we talked about it yesterday. I don't know. It did. I agree. It made me sort of nervous because it was like, what are you doing? Like, I mean, even though I enjoyed like certain scenes, I do myself enjoy young Leia. I think Carrie Fisher would love that little girl. But I just think that they need to kind of rethink their formula because the thing is, bro, like we were having this conversation, a few years back when we got Rise of Skywalker and then Mandalorian dropped, and we were like, okay, now Star Wars is back to form. We see it and there's hope for it. Mandalorian gave us hope. And it's like, yo, what are you doing now? Like,
Well,
what,
I'll tell you what
come
we
on.
can be hopeful about. I have a friend who I trust implicitly. The Star Wars show that everyone's going to be blown away by is Andor.
Andor. Yeah, I can't wait.
I mean the way they're not shooting on the volume stages like they are, and if you look at the people involved in the writing of the show, Tony Gilroy, the people that wrote The Americans, people that wrote the Bourne movies, I mean it's going to kick ass, and they're doing 12 and 12 episodes, 12 episodes of the first season. It's going to be a spy thriller in the Star Wars universe, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah,
So
I'm definitely excited about that. From the trailer that we got to see at Celebration, it was amazing. So I am definitely excited about that. And I'm excited about the possibility, and the rumor has it that next week they might release Bo-Katan, bro. Hot Toys might release that Bo-Katan figure, bro. So I'm happy.
Wow.
I'm hoping they do that. I'm on. I'm ready for that.
Can't wait to get that. Superhero Displays has been a member for months. Tom Junior Jackson says my mic is popping and cracking. Hopefully it's not anymore. It looks like it's okay to me, as I see. Let's see. RRTNZ says Bob and team, just to change direction. Who's enjoying The Offer, and why isn't Matthew Good getting more accolades? Bob, did you know Bob Evans? First of all, The Offer is the series. Episode 9 just aired on the making of The Godfather. And Matthew Good is playing celebrated, legendary Paramount Pictures honcho Bob Evans in a. If he doesn't win the Emmy for Best Supporting Actor, his performance is incredible. For those of you who might not know who Matthew Good is, he played Ozymandias in Watchmen. He was in Tom Ford's first movie, A Single Man. He was in that. I mean, he's so good. And The Offer is kind of, whether it's historically accurate or not, there's a lot of people who have things to say about that. But for the most part, it's wildly entertaining, and I've been loving it. I never met Bob Evans, unfortunately. Nathan Henderson says he was turned off by Reva at first. Knows of Anakin and bested the Grand Inquisitor. Felt kind of unearned like Rey. She though, like Rey, is growing on me. It's funny because I thought her performance got markedly better when her first episode. I wasn't a fan, but the second and third episodes that I've seen her in, I've liked her performance a lot more. I think they kind of found the character. I'm just curious to see where it's going to go after that. I like the rest of the show. I can't wait to see where that is all going to wind up. Our friend John Suntress, who does the Word Balloon podcast. If you don't listen to the Word Balloon podcast, it is an incredible podcast. He talks to all kinds of comic book creators, and he's been doing it for years. And he just won an award, a prestigious broadcasting award in Chicago, where he is from.
Congratulations!
John says just had Michael Jan Friedman, the Trek writer, on his YouTube show 4 hours ago. Michael Jan Friedman wrote a lot of Star Trek novels and comics. If anyone wants more Trek talk, I'm loving The Orville, Obi-Wan, The Boys, Strange New Worlds, and the comedy The Kids in the Hall show, and Norm Macdonald's final stand-up. Bill Burr's showcase on Letterman, plus 4 All Mankind and Only Murders coming back. How insane is the entertainment we are getting? Well, John, it's insane. We're living. I always say that we are living in awesome times. We have an embarrassment of riches and great stuff coming down the pike. There's so much good stuff. And think about it. I mean, the fact that we're getting a 12-episode Andor show, and we're getting Mandalorian season 3, and the Ahsoka show. I mean, I'm very, very excited. Look, for me, I would have wanted the Kenobi show to be a very different kind of a show than what we're getting, but that's just me. I mean, more sophisticated, more masterless samurai, like a Ronin that's been disgraced. But that's just me. I would have wanted something different, but I'm still enjoying watching it. I'm very much enjoying watching the show. I mean, what's it's Star Wars. I'll watch anything.
Yeah.
And Robert, I just wanted to add that John mentioned that Michael Friedman has a new superhero anthology on the interview that he had a little while ago, which is what they were talking about. So for you guys, make sure you check out Word Balloon. And they also talk about his work in the Star Trek universe. So that's what he was referring to earlier. Yes. So just as an aside.
Mikey Lito sends in a tip and says, how much do they have to pay Hayden Christensen to take over for David Prowse? My point being, James Earl Jones is still doing the voice. So what is Christensen doing that any dude in a skin-tight suit with balls on it can do? Here's what I don't understand. I thought and by the way, we still might get this. I thought for sure if you bring back Hayden Christensen, we would get flashbacks to the Clone Wars. And we would see Ben and we would see Obi-Wan and Anakin fighting in the Clone Wars, because all we saw the outbreak of the Clone Wars, and we saw the end of the Clone Wars in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, and of course we got the animated series. But I thought for sure you bring Hayden Christensen back. Why would they just anybody can be in the Darth Vader costume, and it's really weird that they haven't. You've seen that one shot when Obi-Wan's looking in the distance, and he sees Hayden turn around and disappears. It's like a mirage.
And that was it.
And I'm like, I mean, look, I understand bringing Hayden Christensen back is a good thing, but I really would like to have seen more Obi-Wan and him, and show us things that again would play into the relationship that they have now. And juxtapose that imagery. And to me, that's writing 101. And I feel like with both with Book of Boba Fett and now with Kenobi, the weaknesses of both shows was the writing. It's not the production design. It's not the look of anything. It's not the actors' performances. It's been in the writing and the storytelling, which to me has been a little perplexing.
Yeah.
So Superhero Displays said, Star Wars means so much to me, especially the OGs. If they destroy Kenobi and Vader, and especially in this timeline, they can't recover. I'm so nervous. Like Lael, I'm waiting till it's over, though, to judge overall. But I can't hide the fact that I'm nervous. Well, you know, I mean, look, the thing is...
That's understandable.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, I mean, I always hope for the best. I always want things to be great. You know, I never like seeing movies that are less than great.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard to make them. And,
Yeah.
you know, I want them to be great. But when they're not, you know, it is depressing. Because Star Wars does mean so much to so many people.
Yeah, it does.
But, you know, I do think also one of the problems, too, is in doing these shows, they do have a responsibility to Disney itself. I mean, they have to be mindful of their audience. And it's interesting to me, these sort of these missteps. You know, not everything's going to be perfect. I just would have thought that they would have made this. Also, I'll tell you another thing I'm disappointed in the Kenobi show is the visual effects. I think, like, when they're showing the T-47s, that was a lot of goofy stuff. And, you know, here's something for me that drives me crazy. Like, okay, they have this Inquisitorius, or what is it, the Inquisitorium? They have this base, and apparently anyone can just fly into their hangar deck. It's completely undefended. They don't have external turbo lasers. I know somebody said in the show, well, you know, we don't need anybody. No one's going to be here to defend this. I'm like, give me a break. You know, this is the Empire. They're going to have lasers, and these when T-47s just fly, and you've got TIE fighters hanging there ready to fly, and these speeders come in, shoot up your landing bay, and then fly away, and you don't give pursuit. Like, you would think that they're in the Mustafar system. Like, you would think that they would have a standing garrison in space. There would be a couple of Star Destroyers. Vader might have his own Super Star Destroyer out there, whatever. Well, I guess he wouldn't have it yet. But, I mean, so when I see that's what drives me crazy. Yeah. You know, when they do these kinds of things, I'm like, come on. You cannot tell me that this base with the Inquisitors is not going to be heavily defended.
Yeah, and also, and Lael and I have talked about this extensively, of course, because as you know, we were on Uncivilized Scoundrels last night. But one of the things that, you know, I think we all kind of pointed out was the scene where, you know, they have Leia underneath the raincoat. And of course, we know it's part of the plan that they had to get her out. But despite the fact that we found out, you know, that it was a setup so that they could go and they could find out more information, right? They didn't have to use that as a scene. Yeah. That wasn't something they had to do. They could have chosen another way for her to get out, you know. So although it's true that might have been the most direct way to actually exit, the writers didn't have to do that.
Yeah, it didn't. It was a lazy way to write that it was a lazy way out. I mean, that's the thing, is like, you know, make it to whereas there's a ship close by. As soon as they walk out the door, they can just walk up the actual pad of a ship, the ramp of a ship, and just get on. You know what I mean? Just do something like that. I mean, and the thing is, they made this trope that stormtroopers are incompetent was intensified in this one episode.
Oh yeah, in the hallway, with Kenobi's
like,
in the hallway.
And that really upset me, because the thing is, it's like, yo, like, I'm waiting for them to paint stormtroopers in such a better light than what they have. You know what I mean? Because they've been the butt of every damn joke, and it's like they just ride on that right now. So,
and I'll tell you,
it was insane.
Here's what it doesn't make sense to me. In Star Wars, in the opening scene, the stormtroopers blaze their way onto the Tantive 4, the blockade runner, and they're good at their jobs. They're killing rebel soldiers. They're taking them out.
They were gunning them down. Exactly.
And you know, and Ben Kenobi even says only Imperial stormtroopers are so precise. These blast marks are, and the idea that the stormtroopers would not be a formidable force is really silly, and it undermines the verisimilitude of the whole thing.
Yeah.
You make the Empire look silly, and like they were by the time you get to Jedi, they're really goofy. And even in Empire, man, when the snowtroopers come into the Rebel base, they're good at their jobs.
Yeah,
they're kicking ass.
And the thing is, it was frightening when they came through as well, because you felt the menacing, especially when they were coming through and Vader followed right behind them. You know what I mean? It's just like now, like they're looking at these memes and they're like, okay, we're just gonna, satisfy these memes and let people know how incompetent they are as characters. And I'm like, yo, like literally, I hate to be nitpicky when it comes to certain things, but I'm just like, I love Star Wars that much.
But this isn't nitpicky. You're supposed to believe that the Empire is a formidable, scary force. They're based, stormtroopers. They literally are named after Nazi Germany jackbooted thugs, and these are people. The stormtroopers, even when they're going door to door in Mos Eisley, the only time when the stormtroopers are made to look is when Kenobi's like, the Force has power over the weak-minded. You don't need to see his identification. They can go about their business. That's the only time stormtroopers should have ever been shown to be weak. That's it. And because they're being manipulated by Kenobi. And I agree with you, Lael, that they are either cannon fodder, which another thing, and this is going to seem a little weird to say, I really didn't like it when they were at that checkpoint and Kenobi just killed 20 stormtroopers. Because, a lot of these people were conscripted against their will. The Empire has taken these people, and I really don't like. That
was my point.
These are human beings.
We've been allowed to basically see the garrison in a totally different light, and we know that it is an occupation. We see that in Mandalorian, that occupation that the Empire has fallen. Like, it's hard times, on anybody who's part of the garrison. It's just like they're part of the military, and they've fallen on hard times, and they're forgotten. It's like that's the thing is like you want to show strength, you have to show strength somewhere. If we're to believe that the Empire and the garrison are a threat, then we need to see that.
Yep.
Right now, all we're seeing is incompetence, and that's why I'm like it doesn't. That's what really doesn't sit well, because you're moving along with a narrative. You're trying to carry and you want to progress the narrative without really addressing these side pieces that need to be polished up. And it doesn't. It's crazy.
When again, one of the great things, and I belabor this point, but everything you need to know about Star Wars is contained, believe it or not, in Star Wars, in the original film. Everything you need to know. If you ever have a question about how something is portrayed, go look at the original Star Wars. One of my favorite scenes that they would have cut out if they made the movie today is the scene with all of the Imperial generals. Until this battle station is fully operational, we are vulnerable. The Rebel Alliance is too well equipped. Dangerous to your Starfleet, Commander, not to this battle station. And then Vader's, don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed. The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power of the Force. I mean, that is world building. And you're showing the delineation of the hierarchy and what these generals are after and what they believe. And they're all presumably good at their jobs. One of them is more sniveling than the others. Dangerous to your Starfleet. I love that guy. Was it Admiral Mahdi is one of those, and then when Tarkin walks in, when you first meet him, the Imperial Senate is of no concern to us, and he walks in. Well, how will they maintain control without the bureaucracy? The regional governors will have direct control, whatever. I mean, all that it's world building, but these are scary dudes. They're gonna carve up your planet, your life, your livelihood, and that's how the Empire should always be portrayed. And I'll tell you when things started to go awry. In Jedi, when Vader talks to Moff Jerjerrod at the beginning of Jedi, the Emperor is coming here? That is correct, Commander. That guy, he wouldn't be scared of the Emperor. He would have looked at Vader and he would say, I'm looking forward to it. We shall. And yet they make him look like a douche because Vader's been killing Imperial officers in Empire. Lord Vader, we've come out of the You know, it's they made him incompetent, but I think the wrong lessons were learned. And I know that George didn't direct Jedi, but he pretty much oversaw it. And I think, look, I've said that Return of the Jedi has done more damage to the Star Wars franchise in terms of how to portray things, because there's a lot of goofy shit in Jedi. You know, they make things, goodness gracious me, you know, reach you up, blah, 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 blah. And the Gamorrean guards, they're a cartoon. But you got to go back to the original Star Wars, and I'm hoping that the Andor series, based on who's working on it, the writing on it, is going to be exemplary, because they are going to take it seriously. These are, if you look at the writing staff, they've worked on so many great spy thrillers. And if we get a great spy thriller set in the Star Wars universe, you know, with the pedigree of Bourne and the Americans and everything else, we could get something really special. Yeah. And I hope we do.
Yeah. I do too. I really do.
But, you know, we can't give in to hate. That leads to the dark side.
Definitely can't.
And I don't like that. But yes, fandom is very divisive in general these days. And I think, I really think it's because we, these stories that we grew up with, that we watched over and over again. I've told people this a million times. I saw Empire Strikes Back in the same theater 26 times. I mean, Empire Strikes Back really meant a lot to me because of how good it was, because it would hold up to that kind of scrutiny. You could watch it over and over again, and it had that kind of resonance. And a lot of these stories that we love, these franchises, they mean so much to us because when we didn't just grow up with them, they informed our inner life as we grew older. And I think that now that so much of this entertainment is controlled by corporations, it used to be that the filmmakers had stories to tell, and they would have to find the money to make their stories. Now you've got corporations that own a franchise, and they have to find the people to make it, and they first and foremost are serving their corporate needs, which means by definition the stories that they're telling take a back seat to what their corporation. Well, we have to have merchandising, and I mean, I think what Disney is having, and this is totally kind of an aside, but there are reports coming out that Disney wants to understand why their Star Cruiser hotel failed. They want to have people that were there. They're going to pay them $150 to take part in these conversations to discuss why it failed. And what's really interesting is I look at that, and if you think so Galaxy's Edge, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, that's at Disney World and Disneyland, is all based on the sequel trilogy. It's Kylo Ren. It's the Millennium Falcon with a rectangular dish. I think maybe they changed it to a circular dish. But the thing is, all of their current Star Wars movies are not set in that era, or their shows, Mandalorian, Andor, Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's all classic trilogy stuff or prequel trilogy stuff, and yet all of the things like the Star Cruiser Hotel and Galaxy's Edge are sequel era stuff, and that's not what people love. So if you had made a original series hotel that was set in the time of Luke, Leia, and Han Solo, and Boba Fett, and Zuckuss, and Dengar, and everyone else, Lando Calrissian, I believe they would have had more people interested, because Star Wars is, as much as they want to have those sequel characters, Star Wars, like Star Trek, is Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. It's Han, Luke, Leia, R2-3PO, Lando, Chewie. That's Star Wars. Everything else is something else. And I think that I understand why Disney wanted to have their own characters. They wanted to create, and they were concentrating on using the things that they own, that they had created. I get that, but they've learned a hard lesson. That, Star Wars, that's the reason people love Mando, is because it's set in the original trilogy and era. And if I think that the big blunder that they made with the sequel movies is they should have made the movies about Han, Luke, Leia, R2-3PO, Lando now. And they should have gradually introduced younger characters into that trilogy. And to me, that is such an obvious thing to do. But somebody at Disney said, nope. We have to have our own. We have to forge new characters that belong entirely to us. That was completely corporately motivated, and it had nothing to do whether it was good storytelling or not. And they failed. And they'll never understand that. Corporations won't understand that. And there's a great moment, because someone asked about The Offer, where this corporate functionary from Gulf and Western, who was Paramount's, played by Colin Hanks, he's trying to take over the studio, and he doesn't know anything about storytelling. And the character Peter Bart, who now writes for Deadline, is trying to explain to him, like, look, you don't understand what storytelling is. You don't get what it is Bob Evans does. And you think that Colin Hanks is not that he's going to be an idiot, but even he realizes, he's smart enough to realize, you know what? I don't know how to tell stories. I'm not qualified. We need Bob Evans to come back. And I think anybody that's working for Disney's parent company is obviously making, their job is making movies. But again, look at what Bob Chapek did, firing Peter Rice this week, one of the most beloved executives in the industry who ran 20th Century Fox. Bob Chapek got rid of him because Chapek is in a very tenuous position, and he might get ousted from Disney, and he's a Disney lifer, but he's making decisions not based on what's best for the company, but what's best for him. And unfortunately, that's how these things work, and it's costing our franchise properties, it's costing them the fan base, and I dare say it's costing them money, because the stuff they're making should be better. And when it's not, that's a bummer. Stubble McShave sends in a tip and says, I was disappointed in the latest Obi-Wan episode. That rescue with snow speeders came out of nowhere. Lazy writing. And shouldn't Obi-Wan have been very wet after swimming underwater to get in? Yeah, I was wondering about that. How wet would his clothes be? Hopefully, they'll have a great third act. The second act has been bad. Maybe I think they could rescue it. Remember, we've only seen, there's still a whole third of the show to go. Maybe it'll get great.
I'm open because, like, again, we do have 2 episodes left, so to speak. There's rumors about a season 2 that haven't been confirmed. I don't know. They have to do something. I'm just, that's what I'm saying. I'm just kind of being as reserved as I possibly can be. Until it's done.
By the way, I think I accidentally made Gabriel Santos or somebody a moderator. I didn't mean to do that. That was a mistake. But hey, there you go. I can't see you now. I don't know where you went. So I made somebody a moderator who's probably going, wait, what? They go crazy in the chat. But yeah, so I'm sorry, what were you saying, Lael?
No, I was just saying, I'm just reserved. I'm just going to be reserved until it's done. Once it's done, that's when I'll probably be more vocal. So I just want to understand where they're going. I don't want to really be, I don't want to be harsh or critical about anything. I don't want to, give my opinions about it until the series is done. Once we get the last 2 episodes, and I'll say, okay, this is, I'll give my feelings on it,
Right. And I think that's a reasonable thing to do, because hey, you'll then be able to make a judgment based on the entire series. Nightcrawler says, Rob and crew, this is my crazy alternate reality Star Wars. It was sold to A24. Thoughts? Who would you have liked it to be sold to instead of Disney? You know what? Honestly, HBO. If Star Wars was sold to anybody, I would love to have been sold, or at least that would mean, I guess, to Warner Brothers.
Yeah, and I think we would have gotten less Star Wars, but the quality would have been far superior.
Yeah. I mean, remember, Disney's mandate, ultimately, what people have to remember is they are a family-oriented company, and they will always approach Star Wars as a franchise that is made for children, whereas. And even George Lucas would say, I made this for the kids and everything. But Star Wars, I assure you, when I saw Star Wars when it originally came out in the weekend it opened in May of 1977, it was not made for kids. It was made for the child in everyone. And hey, you want to see something? Actually, here I'll go. I want to show you guys something pretty cool that I found that I have here. I'll get up and go get it. But talk amongst yourselves for a minute.
Oh. Yes. Yeah, I think HBO would have given us a more adult Star Wars. I think we would have seen more brutality in the series. And I don't think we would have seen the pod race. Well, that would have come out before anyway, but we wouldn't have seen a movie that would have contained a pod race or anything pertaining to children in it. And perhaps we would be getting a Sith series like I've always wanted to see. I always figured they could do a trilogy of how they came up with the rule of two. And I thought that would be, just a stellar, trilogy. What do you think?
I just don't trust Warner Brothers for anything. I don't trust Warner Brothers direction. I don't trust them for anything at this particular point until it's proven, until I see something. Because right now, as a company, right now it's just proven reckless. It's just like completely reckless. One bad choice after another. With this whole thing with Ezra Miller and all that. Here's the thing.
Well, that's some wacky shit.
I feel worse. If anything, I feel bad for the actress who was coming in to play Supergirl.
Oh.
I feel so bad because if you watch when she found out that she got the role, you know what I mean? She was so elate. She was emotional. She cried, and I really wanted to see her portrayal. So I feel bad for her and anybody else who was it, even Michael Keaton. You know what I mean? It's like they're, it's just terrible. So with seeing all that, I just have no trust for Warner Brothers right now at all. Yeah, I don't trust that they would have done even better. You know what I mean?
Here, I'm going to show you something. Here, I'll put a smile on your face. You can't see the whole thing here. I got to go full frame for this. So for those of you who don't know, I have a collection of what are called one sheets, which are movie posters. One sheets used to be 27 by 41. And they used to be printed by one company called the National Screen Service Corporation until about 1984. And a year after Star Wars came out, when it had been playing in theaters on May 25th, 1978, they put this poster out. This is one of the rarest posters that I own. It's called the birthday poster.
Nice.
It says.
Actually, you know what? Yeah.
It says, "May the Force." Here, it's hard to get out. It's hard to see it, but so it says, "May the Force be with you," and it has a birthday. It has a birthday cake and all of the 12 original Kenner Star Wars figures on it.
You know what, Rob? They had those at Disney.
Okay, here's the thing. But this is an original. It's not a reprint. Now, the thing about this poster is what's really interesting about this poster is I had wanted to buy one of these, and these sell when you can find them. They're about $1,000 originals. Yeah. But if you'll notice, this is actually rolled, and movie posters in 1978 were not rolled. They never rolled posters. They folded them in 4 ways. So one day, I was at a friend of mine's house, Jonathan Rosenthal, and I met his dad. We were at his dad's house at a party, and his dad was like the head of marketing at 20th Century Fox in the late 70s.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I go, dude, were you responsible for all the Star Wars marketing? And he's like, oh, yeah. And I said, did you do the Star Wars birthday poster with the action figures on it? He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, I've looked for those posters. I mean, they're so hard to find, and they're always folded. He goes, come with me. He takes me out to his garage. He opens a drawer, like one of those like art drawers that you put art in. He pulls it out, and there's like 20 of them.
Wow.
Mint. They're mint. He goes, yeah, take it. I was like, how much do you want for it? He goes, it's yours, take it. And I was like, so the guy responsible for this poster gave it to me. And I was like, and one day I have not, what you do is when you have movie posters like this, you have them mounted on linen, museum quality mounted on linen. Now, normally you wouldn't necessarily take a rolled poster and do this, but to me, I'm going to do it anyway. And then you frame it once it's on the linen, once it's linen backed. Like I have in my bedroom, I have a Dr. No one sheet from, it's the very first. I used to have a lot of James Bond posters. I got rid of them all. I just kept my Dr. No because it was the first one. It's not even the best Bond poster, but to have the very first Bond posters is pretty cool. So I and it's in very nice shape. So, one day I should probably have it linen backed and sent to you, Lael, to put into your man cave. You should have it. Because by the way, is it Brother Cousins that I owe the bank robber Joker point one? Yeah. I don't think I've forgotten. I have it. I have like, this is going to Brother Cousins. So don't think I've forgotten. So he hasn't bought one yet, has he?
Don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think, no.
Tell him, because I don't think I've seen him. I don't think, but when next time you see him, tell him Uncle Bob has not forgotten that I owe him that figure.
I should see him tomorrow night. I think we're supposed to be streaming on Mafia's channel, I believe.
Nice.
So I'll tell him. So I'll definitely let him know tomorrow.
Yeah, because I haven't forgotten.
Yep.
Well, lady and gent. I mean, we've been streaming for 2 hours. It's 2 a.m. for you both.
Yes.
I think this has been a very fun stream. It's been a good. We've definitely mused at midnight.
Hell yeah.
We've mused.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, and look, Robservations is going to come back with a vengeance, and I will not be missing streams. I will come back. By the way, Sonny Dominguez, the great Sonny Dominguez, says, fandom used to be filled with us who were outcasts. We were called nerds and geeks and loved meeting fellow fans. Now it's become mainstream. Is toxicity and division due to trying too hard to attract a new audience at the cost of faithful fans? I actually think Sonny's, it used to be that this, like he pointed out, this was niche. Like when I was a fanatical Star Trek fan, I was the only one I knew. Like my friends would like it, but they didn't love it. They weren't sitting at home with their blueprints spread out all over the floor, memorizing every deck of the Enterprise. They weren't, they didn't have Ralph McQuarrie's sketchbook from Star Wars. Some people did. I mean, Star Wars was the first. Star Wars was it was mainstream as far as it went. Every kid loved Star Wars. Everybody had Star Wars T-shirts. But there was only one Star Wars movie. So if you were a Star Wars fan, you liked Star Wars. Everybody liked Star Wars. But now, all of these genre fandoms have gone mainstream, so everybody likes them. And the problem is, I think that when you were growing up, and if you were a big fan, like I was a huge diehard fan, but because there was only one of me, if ever I found somebody that was as into it as I was, I'm like, oh my God, it's so good to meet you. And you would cherish those people. You would never argue.
Yeah.
But now we live in a society where everybody,
there's a lot of us.
Yeah. But everybody is there. They are validated through their interests. And I feel like when I talk to somebody, if I explain why I didn't like something, there are fans that get mad at me, like, well, fuck you. Like, I'll say what it is I don't like. And they go, fuck you to me. Fuck you, you dick. Or else somebody will send me for the umpteenth millionth time the Simpsons man shouting at clouds meme. They take it very personally. Like when I criticize things, I criticize mostly the writing or the way things are made or how corporate interests affect storytelling. I never tell people like, you're a dick. Fuck you. I don't. Or I try not to do that. I mean, it's like how just because if you don't like something, that doesn't mean that you're a dick.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do think it has gone mainstream. Clint Likes Everything says, I caught the end of your stream. I love you guys. Well, Clint, it's good to have you here.
I love you too.
What's great about if you catch the end of the stream, you can just go back and watch it from the beginning. God, I love you too. Tom Jr. Jackson says, are we having a member call? Here's the thing. Roberto Suarez sets up these member calls, and I believe he's still in Puerto Rico. But if not, you know what? I could maybe do it tomorrow. Maybe I'll just do it. Maybe I'll just do an impromptu member call tomorrow, because why not? I haven't done one in weeks. I should do one. Yes, Tom, we're going to have a member call tomorrow. I'm calling it right now. I've got my Zoom thing. We'll have a member call probably around 11, 12, because it's going to be 100 degrees in here, and why not? So let's do that. But anyway,
do it by the pool, Robert.
You know what? I absolutely could. The mesh system, I could totally do it from this computer and just sit by my pool, although I think there's something wrong with our pump. We have to see if we can fix it. But yeah, or better yet, I could put the computer on a floating thing and just be in the pool. with a mic. That would actually be the funniest thing ever, to do a member call floating in the pool. Well, listen, I want to thank Mmmm and Lael. First of all, Mmmm, where can people find you on social media?
Yes, guys, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Positive Fandom. I also stream live on 10:30 a.m. on Sundays. You can find me on my Sunday brunch show where I do all the parlay in the fandom. That's 10:30 a.m. Eastern time with my co-host Russ. You can also find me on Monday nights on Toxic Femininity with Nina Infinity and Lorena Creole at 8 p.m. Eastern.
I love Lorena.
Sometimes on Wednesdays and Thursdays, you can find me on the 1/6 Scale Man Network, either on Say What or Uncivilized Scoundrels. But you can also find me streaming with Lorena Creole on our other show, Toxic Male Appreciation, which streams live on Twitch at 5 p.m. on Thursdays. At 12 p.m. on Fridays, you can find me streaming with Tom and Andre on Midnight's Edge in the morning. That's 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, you can always find me here on the PGS.
That is most excellent. Now, Lael, where can people find you?
Well, you can definitely find me at the 1/6 Scale Man YouTube channel. We are on the road to 3,000 subscribers. We are at I think we're at 2,000. Where are we at? Like we're nearing 2.72 right now. So we're getting there. So we're nearing that. You can find me on, I guess, well, of course you can find me here on Midnight Musings, but on Sundays, actually this Sunday you can actually find me on we have collectors we have collectors talk, or actually
Lounge International.
Yeah, Collectors Lounge International. You can find me. I'm sorry, I'll miss everywhere right now. Collectors Lounge International on Sundays, and that's at 12 o'clock. Noon. We actually go ahead and we talk about. It's unscripted, so we just talk about anything in the collecting universe, in the collecting world, all things pop culture. So you can actually, we have those discussions. So, and it's international, so we have everybody from all over the world. We have these discussions with, and I love that show. You can find me on Mondays, Comic Book Talk with Friends. That's at 9:15. That's me, myself, Vinny, Brendan, and Jason. You can find me, of course, on Tuesdays with Say What, where we actually have the latest in collectibles, figure talk, stuff like that. So that's an incredible show. You can find me again sometimes every other Thursday on Uncivilized Scoundrels, where we have nothing but Star Wars talk. And this Thursday will be on Mario's show, on Mario's channel, where we'll be discussing episode 5 of Obi-Wan. So stay tuned for that. Back in my channel on Fridays for Figure Flex Friday, where we actually give you, the fans, everybody out there who do collect figures, we give you the chance to really showcase your collections, your figures, stuff like that. We showcase it. We put it up. Right now we have what is called we're continuing on what was called the May Mashup Madness, where you're mashing up figures with other figures, and you're just creating it's from different genres, and you're creating a work of art. So yeah, you can find me there. So that's the 1/6 Scale Man YouTube channel on IG and Twitter and Instagram. On YouTube, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And back here, of course, on Midnight Musings.
Midnight Musings, we're back. We're not going to miss this summer. We're going to have a fun summer here on the Post-Geek Singularity. Now, let me ask the two of you. You both are collectors. Now, Lael, what Hot Toys figure are you most excited about? You mentioned Bo-Katan might be coming out.
Hopefully, okay. So the thing is, of course, I am eagerly awaiting for them to announce Miles from Into the Spider-Verse. I really do want that figure. I'm hoping that comes out soon because it's supposed to. But there's rumors that there'll be Bo-Katan next week. But I'm just happy now because, like I said, I've gotten my Mark 5. Yeah. I've gotten my Moff Gideon. I've got my Snowspeeder Luke. I've gotten my Anakin. I mean, I'm just riding high on that. I got all the pieces that I need for my Ray Sand Speeder, so I can't wait to showcase that. So man, it's just, as soon as they come, they get here, I can't wait. So I'm definitely, and I'm excited about my my quarter scale Storm figure, X-Men Storm figure.
Oh, nice.
statue from Sideshow. So
nice.
But that's been delayed. That's actually been pushed to July. now. So whenever it comes, I'll be happy. I can't wait.
Well, I'm excited about all the Exo-6 Star Trek figures. You know, Anthony's got to send me Spock, and I owe him for Cisco and Tuvok.
Yeah.
You know, that the Tuvok is one up. You know, how about, I mean, talk about on one hand, who knows, you know, we always make jokes about Hot Toys being racist. But hey,
Yeah.
we're getting a Ben Sisko figure. We're getting a Tuvok
There you
figure.
go.
I mean, come on.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Exo-6 is killing it. They're making the Star Trek the Motion Picture figure. That Kirk is amazing. The Spock is even more amazing. I never thought I'd live in a world where not only would we be getting high-end Star Trek figures, but they'd be coming out like every month, which
Hell
is
yeah.
fantastic for me. And I have a lot of
Hell yeah.
third-party figures. I'm still waiting for my third-party Rocketeer, the black box Rocketeer. You know, that was paid off. I don't know where mine is, and there's all kinds of crazy third-party stuff I'm buying. My band, I still need my Bob Marley and my Bowie. I don't know what my Bowie is. That was paid off. I'm getting my Pennywise finally. That's going to show up. I mean, I have a weird. It's so, you know, in my Module cases now, I'm going to have just random figures, like random movie figures. So I'm very excited because I got my 2 Godfather figures I need to open, the formal, the tuxedo Vito, and then the gunshot when he's gunned down in the streets with his grocery. Comes with the grocery
That's
bag.
the one
of
that's
oranges.
crazy to date. I can't believe they released that one, man. That's crazy. That's
No, it's great. And he comes with 2 outfits, so you can get him when he's gunned down, or you can get him when he dies at the end of the movie. And it also, you know, both of them come with chairs.
Yeah.
So I mean, talk about an orgasmic. My favorite movie, and each figure comes with a chair. I mean, I look around. You can't see above me, but now all of my Hot Toys figures are all around me. Like, I literally have about 75 Hot Toys figures that are unopened, that I've never opened.
Wow.
So, and
See, that's why I'm trying to crank these open, man.
I
Because
saw them, Robert.
yeah, well, you've only I showed you some, but not now. There's even more in here, and
Oh my gosh.
they're all because because everything is here. I don't think when you were here before everything was here. Now everything is here.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, everything is
Oh,
here.
okay.
But you're the only person who's actually been in here, you know, to broadcast from, and I'm sorry I didn't get Lael to come up here, but that will never happen again. And if you're going to come back out to California, you know you will. All of you will. Are you going to come out? Do you have any plans for coming out to Comic-Con?
I don't know. I mean, I want to. I would love to. I just have to see. I mean, I would love to do something like that, man.
Yeah, I mean, I would try. Again, we normally do our Starship Smackdown panel, and I think John Campy is doing a panel. I don't know if I'll be able to get a Post-Geek Singularity panel. I tried, but I don't think I you know, again, even though I've been doing panels at Comic-Con since 1994, I'm not in with the Comic-Con programmers the way I probably should be. But you know, what are you gonna do?
Gotcha.
But anyway, I will let you 2 lovely people go. I might just stay on and chat about other things.
Well, Robert, we are all goof people, and the figure that I'm most looking forward to, of course, is, as I said so before, is the Casca figure because she is so unique.
Yeah, but when is that coming out, though?
2023, I believe. I think it's quarter 4 or quarter 3 of 2023.
But
so it's going to be a while.
Are you going to get Bo-Katan? Yeah. Are you going to get all the Mando?
Yes, I ordered Bo-Katan. Of course. I also, what else have I ordered? You know, obviously the Exo-6 characters, all of DS9. And now I kind of like, you know, the Star Trek Stage New Worlds figures too. So I'm going to get those come out. But so that's what's on my list.
Somebody contacted me and said that they were 3D printing a 6th scale TOS bridge.
Wow.
And I'm like, bruh, count me in.
Yeah.
Everything that you're printing, you should print 2 of, because that, to me, that would be the dream, to have a 6th scale. You know, you could make it in, because it's done in wedges. The original Enterprise is not undoable. Did you guys see that Tomy has put up for pre-order a 1/350th scale die-cast classic Enterprise for
No, I
it's
haven't seen that.
I haven't seen
crowdfunded.
it.
It's $600.
No.
It's die cast. It's 20 pounds. And if they hit 5,000, they're going to manufacture it.
Wow.
It's incredible. Incredible. And I mean,
If they hit 5,000.
yeah, I mean, so I think it's gonna be tough because they're not doing exactly a lot to push it. And if you sign up for it, you don't even have to pay for it right now. And I want it. So please, everybody, sign up for the Tomy Enterprise. I want it. Please give it to me.
He's trying to get
But yeah, but Exo-6 is killing it. And Anthony knows all about that, obviously. But
yeah.
and although I have to say, one of my favorite new people I follow on social media is the head of Exo-6, Nanjin, I think is his name. He's a crazy madman.
He's amazing. What he's doing, like he said that he already knows the formula of releasing figures. If you have an entire crew, that you need to space it out in a way that it works, and the level of expertise like that Ferengi, Exo-6 figure that he has made. I've never seen such a high quality figure for a Ferengi, let alone for a 1/6 scale figure.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have to say the tailoring on their figures is amazing. And my favorite thing is he's been going off about Kirk's. One of my favorite Star Trek uniform of all time is Kirk's Admiral uniform from Star Trek: The Motion Picture. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
And they're making those
and they're making
That's my favorite.
It's so good. And
favorite, bro.
what people don't realize, people think it's gray and white. It's not. It's a green. It's a green and white. It just looks gray on screen. And he's been educating people to this effect. And he's like, don't order this figure if you think it's going to be gray and white. Don't even order it. I don't want to listen to this bullshit. I'm like, I love this guy. I want to work for this guy. I did send him some frame grabs because I still have some of the uncompressed files from Next Generation episodes. Actually, I should not admit to that, but okay, I have them. Why would I? They were in my hard drive. What can I say? But I said, if you need reference photos for Next Gen, I have the highest resolution that you can get. So
wow.
Yeah, because when we were working on the Blu-rays, what was I going to give those files up? Even on the Blu-ray, they're compressed. I've got 60 gigabyte files, So I sent him some images and stuff. But he's a licensor. Why shouldn't I do that? He's official Paramount.
I guarantee he will use them because he's concerned about the quality of what he puts out, and it's really the highest quality I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So those Star Wars and Star Trek, are there any third-party figures that you are interested in that maybe aren't Star Wars or Marvel?
Yes, there are some other figures. I mean, I haven't fully committed to them, but yeah, there are some other figures that I'm looking at. But I can't really name them because I haven't purchased them and I can't remember offhand. I mean, I already know that I got, this isn't maybe completely off topic, but there was and I'm still actually buying it. I'm in the process of buying it because I'm buying it on very small increments. It's a Vision, but he's not in his regular costume.
Yeah, he's in a suit. Is he in the suit, like the suit and tie?
He's in a suit, and he also has the old school, salute to old school wrestlers outfit that he wears, the yellow and the green, I guess it is. Whatever the colors are, I could be wrong on the colors, but it also comes with the two babies.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about this figure. It is a third-party figure, and I can't remember whether it's So Toys or Damn Toys or whoever it is. But it just was such a cool set, and I said, I got to get that set.
Yes,
that looks so incredible.
Yeah. Yes.
So I'm picking it up. And there's maybe one other set that I'm getting, honestly, because of the uniform that the character wears, but I can't remember his name. But it's some cute-looking guy. So I'm sorry. Yes, I am buying it because the character looks good, but also his outfit looks really good, and it's a third-party outfit. And Lael, you and I had talked about this character, but I can't remember what it is, but I'm ordering him, and he is third-party. So there's a lot of third-party figures out there that are just so incredible. And I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying seeing that. I've also ordered some Feist bodies, which I normally do, just to have fun with and put on extra pairs of clothes on. And
I know why you order Feist bodies. You know why. Don't try and hide it. I know why you like Feist bodies. Come on now. It's for figure drawing. That's what it's for. It's for figure drawing. Well,
So,
I want to say thanks for being here, the two of you. It was so good to stream with you tonight, and
Yeah,
thank you for
yeah.
having us.
I will catch up with both of you soon.
Yes, indeed. I cannot wait.
All
It's been a
right,
blast. I've
And
had
bye,
so much
everybody.
fun.
I'll see you
See you
later.
guys later on.
All right, I will see you later. Well, that was fun. I think I'll stick around at least for a little while longer. Like, why not? I mean, what I've been doing is getting the Robservatory slowly but surely. The garage door I've needed access to bring everything else in, but shortly this is going to go. The new lights are going in. It's going to be more colorful around here, and the books will be there's Swack Props. Actually, Swack Props' Ninth Gate book that I love so much is there. But yeah, so I'm still here. You know, if you guys want to chat, if there's anything that you want to continue talking about, or we don't have to. Nightcrawler says, I also need a 6th scale Plo Koon figure. Unless they made that already, I see Kit Fisto is upcoming. Didn't Sideshow make Plo Koon? I think Sideshow did. Nightcrawler goes on to say, I blame Rob and the homie from KC with the Captain America Thor's Hammer hot toy for pulling the trigger and buying something from Sideshow. I can't believe I waited this long. They are so awesome. Nightcrawler, look, man, I would have warned you. You know, we will lead you down the primrose path. And as everyone knows, the answer on this show is, should I buy something? The answer is yes. Yes, you should. Clint Likes Everything says, I'm going to make you guys a theme song for Midnight Musings. You are critical, but you're also hopeful. That means a lot. Well, I really appreciate that. We try and be. 6 Scale Mafia says, my friends, Rob and I took that personally. Rob, did you mean you took that personally? 6 Scale, don't take it personally. RRTNZ said, no love for the awesome. Oh, and Dira Varma. She's so good. I should have said that. She's great. I love her. I love her in Obi-Wan. She, of course, is the mother of the sand snakes in Game of Thrones. She makes a great Imperial officer. I love her to death. I think she is amazing. S Beam says Midnighter. We could do a Midnighter. I can't do a Midnighter because I don't have access. I can't. My drive, the soft raid that I have is not allowing me to connect with my hard drive, so I can't do that. I mean, I guess I could if you guys want. Ham Solo says, would you like to see non-canonical anime adaptations of the Thrawn trilogy on Disney Plus? I think that'd be great. Well, you know, I've got the comic adaptations and the original hardcovers. I think it'd be great. I think they should make it. I don't know. Why not? Why not just say that the sequel trilogy is non-canonical and then go do the Thrawn trilogy and Dark Empire? Do them together, because why not? So that would be loads of fun. There are many bugs in here. That's my one downside. But I love the Thrawn trilogy. So, you know, maybe I would definitely that would be I would love that, because I like those books a lot. I do. I like those books a great deal. So, yeah. And Mario Lopez was asking, Mario, I did read your chat, and I said say hi to your mom for me. But yeah, so I did. Yes, I did. No, I did, and I said I did read your super chat, Mario, and I did say to say hi to your mom. I hope you're doing well. Haven't seen you in a while. We'll do another member call. I'll do another member call tomorrow. Robert Tari says, curious that Kenobi and Boba Fett, both legacy characters, are the weakest of the Star Wars shows. Too much pressure and second guessing by creatives. You know, Robert, I don't understand. I mean, like I was pointing out earlier, how do you not go like, okay, Boba Fett's a bounty hunter and you want to turn him into a crime boss? Book of Boba Fett. Like, here's what I don't understand. To me, Book of Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett should have been, each episode should have shown us, I don't know, a year in the life of Boba Fett at different ages. You know, after he lost his father, then maybe 10 years later, 10 years after that, or 5 years, whatever you wanted to do. And give me chapters in his life leading up to the point where he becomes a crime boss or something. I don't understand why they didn't do something like that. It was called the Book of Boba Fett. And then, of course, it was the Book of Boba Fett until it became the Mandalorian show for 2 episodes. And then we return to the Book of Boba Fett, already in progress. I just thought it was, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't think too much pressure. I just think they went in the wrong direction, inexplicably so. I don't know. Nightcrawler says, how good was For All Mankind last night? So good. I mean, look, for those of you, it's funny because I've talked to people about For All Mankind, which I think is one of the greatest science fiction shows ever. And some people say that it's too much of a melodrama. And I'm like, well, there's no way it couldn't be. I mean, you're dealing with like the right stuff, the actual people that are creating the space program. So by definition, there'd be very little space program being in space in it because it's not as commonplace. But now it is more. I love the show. The last episode of the 2nd season of For All Mankind was one of the greatest hours of television of the last 20 years. And I thought the first episode was great. I really, really loved it. I thought it was awesome. Well, I'll tell you what. Since S. Beam asked if I would make this a Midnighter, for those of you who have never watched The Midnighter, and The Midnighter is a show that I used to do on a nightly basis, where I would basically have people come on the show. Like if you have a camera, a good camera and a good mic, I would open up the chat and you could just jump on with me. And that's what S-Beam was. He's been on the show. So wouldn't that be kind of fun? I don't know if anybody is interested in necessarily doing that, but let's just say, I mean, if I wanted to, I could do that. If you guys were at all interested, it could happen. I mean, and I'm not saying it's going to, but it could. And I can have a couple of people jump on and we can have a conversation. It's always fun to do that. So if I were to do it, and I'm not saying I'm gonna, but if I were, come on, maybe I will. You'd have to look in the live chat, and I would definitely. You would see the link, and you could jump on. Medicated movie reviews. Thoughts on Back to the Future 3? I think of it more as a Doc Brown movie than a Marty movie, and it's always been my favorite. You know, I used to not like Back to the Future 3 only because it was before I became a fan of Westerns. I hadn't seen a lot of Westerns, and having seen my Westerns now and having watched a lot and loving the Western genre, I have great affection for Back to the Future 3, and it's a lot of fun. And I can't wait to get my Hot Toys figures of Back to the Future 3 Marty and Doc Brown. But yeah, it's more of a Doc Brown movie. I love that. Robert Tari says, my 2-month-old loves the band The Police. With one, you will know Synchronicity. What are your thoughts on them? I love The Police. Zendada, what is it? Mandada? I forget. It's been a long time. Okay, I'll tell you a funny thing. My first roommate in college, when I was at the Evergreen State College, was named Eric Mont. And he kind of looked like Sting. I think he thought he was Sting. All he did was play Police records all day, every day. And he'd try and play the songs on his guitar and sing. Like he really thought he was Sting. He was I could tell you a funny story, but I won't. If he's ever listening, I don't want to out him. but yeah, he loves The Police. I love The Police. I mean, you know, I still think of Synchronicity as being one of the great records of the 80s, and it is. And early Police is great as well. And then of course I love Sting. You know, when he went on his solo career, I mean, stories like songs like Shape of My Heart and Englishman in New York and Moon Over Bourbon Street. I'm a huge fan. Huge fan. I love that your 2-year-old loves The Police, and why shouldn't they? So yeah. Clint Likes Everything says, do you think the Book of Boba Fett is a play off the Book of Job? You know what? No. Because as for those of you who might watch me a lot, you know that I'm one of my dreams is to make a Job movie. I really want to make a Job movie. It could be. You know, I haven't really looked into it. Could it be Job? I mean, I don't. Who was testing Boba Fett? Was anybody testing Boba Fett? I don't know. So there you go, kids. Whoever gets here first. If you want to be, there's all these little ants in here. I don't know where they came from. I hope they have not come up through a hole somewhere and I just didn't know it. But Rob, have you ever shown your Blu-ray collection off? If you haven't, would you ever plan to? Well, we do a show every week, Dieter Bastian and I, Let's Get Physical Media. My entire Blu-ray collection is right over there. And it's being alphabetized, and I can now have access to everything. It's my Blu-ray collection is literally, it's over there, but it's also all around me. I have not finished alphabetizing it. Oh, our first guest for the evening is here, and I will put this gentleman in. You're going to know him. You are going to love him, and if you haven't met him before, it's good to see him. And he's going into. So I have to give me a minute. I have to add him. I have to add him to the stream. You're very close up, Mikey. There you go. I was gonna say, man, that's a big. You got a beautiful face, but that's real close. Well. Now I can't see you because how can I put you in the show? How can I put you in the show, Coach? You're very close and big. That's what she said. All right, I'm gonna run with it. I'm gonna bring on and S Beam is here as well. And I'm going to add S-Beam to the show because why not? I can do that. I'm going to add S-Beam into the show. And let's see. Hang on. S-Beam. Put you in. Look at that. Look at that background, S-Beam. Yeah, you've upgraded. Look at that. Hang on. Let me just get you in. Oh, now you're widescreen. So I'm going to bring you up so we can't see as much of the background as. Ooh, do you have? That's a Jazz Inc. That's a Jazz Inc. Vulture, isn't it? Yes, it is. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, look at that. Okay, everybody. Oh, please welcome S-Beam and Mikey Lido to Midnight Musings. Uh-oh, Mikey went away. But S-Beam, how you doing, S-Beam?
I'm there in a minute.
Okay, he's coming back.
I just lost camera. Can everyone hear me this time?
Yes, everybody can hear you. Do you have a song to sing?
No.
Is there anybody out there? Are you a Pink Floyd fan? No?
Yeah, but one of my coworkers actually kind of turned me off because that's all he would listen to. So
yeah, I bet you want to listen to old school. Would he listen like was he a Uma Guma fan?
It was like a live show on YouTube that he would listen to constantly every night at work. And
wow,
it just got really tired.
So what's going on? What are you collecting? What are you buying? Your collection looks good. It's all lit up there. You got the Jazz Inc. Vulture, which they're running low on stock there. I keep thinking I should get one. Would you recommend it?
There's third parties out there. I would. Jazz Inc. does a good job. This is my latest acquisition.
You know what? I have that figure. I have not taken him out of the box. Look at how great that figure is.
Yeah, he's freaking awesome. I'm still editing the showcase video for him too.
What do you think? What are your impressions of the Avengers Endgame 2012 Captain America?
Oh, dude, it's awesome. I was on the fence about it for a little while. Then I saw some videos, and then I got him in hand and I'm convinced that he's.
There we go. Mikey's back. There you go. Now that's good, Mikey.
So,
can we hear you?
One of the superior ones. Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Not talking.
Oh, okay, good. So, Mikey, do you have any action figures?
No, sir.
Do you want any?
No place to store action figures.
Not even one. You don't just want to have one hot toy figure. You don't want to drop.
I want RM's Grogu.
Oh, well, that's she's not going to give it to you.
Want the life size one?
I know. I have to go to her house and like beat up her mom and take it.
Her mom's delightful, and her mom's not going to let you take it.
Yeah, I know. Her mom probably likes Grogu more than RM does.
By the way, you are frozen. We can hear you, but the camera's frozen. No, now you're frozen a little bit more. There you're frozen smiling. There you go. That's good. It's fantastic. It's awesome.
I'm trying to get rid of some of the screens that I have up here.
So let me ask you, boys. I'll start with you, S. What are you watching now, and what do you think of it?
Right now, I was obviously watching Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's good, but there are some moments of lazy writing that I didn't really care for, such as the under the coat, Leia under the coat. That was pretty lazy.
That was a true low.
It's just I I've enjoyed it. I haven't hated it like some other people have. And poor Reba, poor Moses, she's just getting way too much flack for no reason. So
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
but
first of all,
I'm
you guys
enjoying
don't
it.
like the Three Stooges?
You don't like the Three Stooges? You know what?
Because
I
that
would.
scene was like three out of the Three Stooges.
It was right. I'm a Marx Brothers fan. I never liked the Three Stooges. But yeah, it was a ridiculous scene. I'm like, come on. Or right out of Our Gang. It was like Spanky and Alfalfa, like they're standing on top of each other.
I was saying in the chat earlier, it was the very first thought that came to my mind when I saw that scene.
Yeah, I know. Mario Lopez says that Kenobi broke him completely, and Disney Star Wars is not canon to me anymore.
That's unfortunate.
I know, it's not good. I'm not a big fan, to be honest. I don't know why, but what can I say? You know what's really interesting? This is actually saying that I can add someone else. And Alex Montano from Colombia is here.
Oh, nice.
Now
he's got some good pictures on Instagram.
Yeah, but I've never been able to add a fourth person. So maybe with this, I'm looking. I hope I didn't. Oh, Mikey got obliterated. That's why. Mikey, I accidentally kicked you out, or you disappeared. Let me get back to you, Mikey. I will get back to you. But since Alex is here, I'll put him in. That's why. Because normally I can't put in more than 2 people. But, hey, I'm going to put Alex in. I'm going to put you in, Coach. Alex will talk to us also. Oh, see, he's always got hot toys in the background. So we're going to see, which is good. Hang on, let me put Alex in. We'll get Mikey in here because I'd love to
also
hear
to add, The Boys is fantastic. I've been watching
It's fantastic. I mean,
Stranger Things was pretty damn good.
Yep, pretty damn good.
A coworker of mine just turned me on to Lock and Key on Netflix too. So
yeah, I like that.
That was pretty good.
Based on the Joe Hill story. So, Alex, first of all, how you feeling? You're looking good.
I'm doing great, man. How are you? Good to see you, Sean.
It's good to see you, and you're growing back the facial hair. You're looking very sexy. Now, the real question I have to you is, have you got any new Hot Toys figures lately?
Yeah, actually, I got those 2 Stormtroopers yesterday.
Ooh.
I got my quarter scale Darth Vader last week. No, I'm lying. I got it a few weeks ago. And yeah, I have the quarter scale Mandalorian coming in next week. So yeah, some nice things coming in. Yeah.
My quarter scale Vader fell over and he broke off the 2 silver tips of his mask.
Oh.
And I'm going to have to money up some. I have to make. I was like, how does that happen? Like, come on. It was actually a dog issue.
Oh man! Actually, it's
so
something that I'm
pissed.
scared of. Like the base is not very sturdy, so I think that's pretty easy for it to fall down. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not a very good design.
Not cool. But it's a great figure.
Oh yeah, It's like it's my favorite now. Like I wouldn't change it for anything.
No, it's great. I mean, it's I've got my Modja cases I'm setting up. I got 9 DF60s, so not the DF120s. But I made them like Hollywood squares, and I've been waiting for a year. I just got the drawers, the riser drawers that go underneath them, and so what I'm doing is I'm putting them together, and I'm because they're Modja cases, I'm putting I'm making a row of 3, 3, 3, so they're all open on the inside, so I can the top floor, the top shelf is going to be, it's all Marvel, so I've got my 3 Thanos figures. My triptych, and then I've got the villains on one side, and then all the figures. I'm doing like a giant movie poster vibe.
Nice.
And I'll just put as many, and then I've got a Spider-Man. I've just got. I need more Modja cases, but I'm very happy to at least have them. I bought more lights for them, and so yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Maybe
I love
finally you have your new house, your new space. That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
and this is gonna be. I mean, it's still gonna be full up, but at least I'm gonna have everything, and I've got a. I didn't have this before, but I have a killer Dolby Atmos surround sound system in here. It is so overpowered. It's so ridiculous. It's so loud. I mean, I was cranking it up the other day, and I was just laughing my ass off because it's hilarious. So I never have to leave. Elizabeth's like, I'm never going to see you. I'm like, just come down and knock on the door.
Visit.
Yeah,
visit.
when the Robservation is a rock, or the Robservatory is a rockin', don't come a knockin', you know. But what I do love is having everything, you know, at arm's length and alphabetizing everything, and it's good.
I bet you're enjoying getting everything set up.
Yeah, no, although it's a pain in the ass. I wish it was done. The problem is when you're alphabetizing, having all those little pieces, it sucks. You know, you're putting everything in everywhere. It just sucks. But once it's
It's
done,
gonna be worth it at the end.
yeah. And there's just too much stuff in here, but it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have so many things there.
Yeah.
I remember when you did your house tour, I'm like, oh my God, how are you going to set everything up?
Yeah, it's once I have it set up, it'll be good. It'll be good. Hopefully
I'm excited to
this
see
weekend.
it. Oh, you
Yeah.
need to get it done. Yeah, I really want to see everything.
Yeah, I
wanna
mean,
see the whole
it's so,
collection.
It's so funny because, you know, like I was this Gundam Perfect Grade figure. It's kind of fell apart in the move. I mean, it's still all the pieces are here, but even that, you know, I got to put it back together and make sure it's. I was like, are all the pieces here? But they are, you know. But it's and I think like this Gundam figure, I'm gonna hang. I'm gonna hang a lot of stuff from the ceiling, just because I can. Because why
nice.
not? You won't see it, but it'll be cool. It'll be like my bedroom when I was 10.
I mean, you can drop on the floor, put a nice rug or something.
Yeah.
Listen to some music and look at your.
Oh yeah, no, I've got a big couch
Figures,
right here.
yeah.
Just chill out and be like,
Nice.
yeah, man.
Yeah,
watch-
you have
watch.
everything figured out now.
I know.
Yeah.
So how's your lady? How's Colombia?
Everything's good. Everything's good.
So
Everything's perfect. Finally.
Fine, that's good. You're back to normal.
Yeah.
Now, how's Colombia doing as far as gas prices and inflation and COVID and all that stuff?
Well, it's going to be crazy right now because presidential elections are next week.
Oh wow.
So you know how that goes, and we have this crazy communist guy trying to be you president, and it's not good. It's not good.
No.
He's not a good guy, and a lot of people my age are supporting him. And
Yeah,
I'm
what's up with everybody embracing communism? It doesn't work. It's
Yeah, it
never
doesn't
worked.
work.
It doesn't
But
work.
but for some reason, people forget about that.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. The 20th
Yeah,
century
okay.
pretty much debunked communism.
Yeah,
The Chinese,
I think,
the
yeah.
Chinese and North Koreans haven't figured that out yet. But like, would you want to live in North Korea? No.
No, we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, things are a bit crazy that way. COVID is fine. I mean, I think it's like same as over there. You can get it, but it's not as as crazy as it was last
Right.
year. I was really nervous of getting it because of my chemotherapy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Now that I'm back to normal,
Well, did you read the story about Jeff Bridges? How he was undergoing chemotherapy? The actor Jeff
I
Bridges.
did.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
also had COVID. He said it almost killed him.
Yeah, I saw that. It was real scary. I was like, I'm really glad that I didn't get any.
Yeah. No, that would have been.
Yeah, but beyond that, everything's fine. You know, politics can get rough. I don't even know
Yeah.
what to say about that.
I know. America, it's always the same.
Yeah, it's more fun to talk about action figures and movies. And,
It is.
Yeah.
Although, is
Yeah,
it
but
more fun to
still-
talk about movies these days? I don't know. People are always yelling at each other.
yeah. Oh, don't get me started with that. Yeah.
I know. It's crazy. But yeah, movies. For anybody who's interested, I showed this last week. If you like The Untouchables, the new 4K version of The Untouchables is incredible. It looks incredible. And that's the Steelbook.
Nice.
Yeah. And also,
You guys see Top Gun? Top Gun was good.
Top Gun was great. Seen it twice. Loved it. I want a Maverick
seen it.
figure. I have a third-party Maverick figure, but it's old. It's not good. So I love your cases. I love the light. Do you change color in your LEDs in your cases depending on your mood?
Usually depending on my show,
Ah,
Ooh.
my topics of the show.
Dark Lords of the Sith and all that.
Monday I'll probably be changing it to something a little bit lighter, but
Nice.
yeah, this is still set up from last Monday with Vader.
Oh.
Talking about Vader.
Which is nice. So let me ask you guys, what figures do you have coming in? What have you ordered that you haven't got yet? I mean, Alex, you told me what you got coming in shortly, but are there long-term figures you have ordered that you want?
I want Jango Fett. And I don't know when it's gonna drop in.
He's so good too.
That's a great
I
figure.
saw your picture. I saw your picture and I was like, why? I need mine.
I get mine from China.
Oh, I was gonna buy mine from Toys for Wonder, but like I don't want to pay extra.
Yeah.
I have that Ahsoka.
I've amassed quite a bit of points, so I get pretty good deals.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty.
Oh man, that looks beautiful.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. That is a great
pose.
Well, I love that. I love that you that pose with the that's really good.
The poncho looks really cool.
Yeah. That's really great.
I got my Maji case. I've only got one Maji case.
What kind did you get?
It's the 6110.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'll be getting 2 more as soon as they get around to shipping them, but those lights don't want to stay in there. I got the regular lights in there, but they're too bright for camera, so I had to get a different light.
Can't you get like LED dimmable strips or something?
Oh yeah, you can get the LEDs that come with it, the bars. Those are super bright. They work awesome though. And then they have spotlights, the ones from Sideshow and Big Bad Toy Store that sell them.
Yeah, I got the spotlights, and then I bought a bunch of extra spotlights because they come with 2, and then you can put up to 6 in them, and so that's what I did, which is great.
Do the spotlights work good?
Yeah, I love them.
Okay.
Yeah, I really love them.
I want motor cases, but I think it would be really expensive to ship them over here. So.
Yeah, that you might be right about that.
Yeah, I don't want to pay $2,000 like you with that Ecto One.
Froze. I don't know why. You know what? Maybe it's a sign. Everyone, I think that'll be the end of tonight's Midnight Musings. I mean, Alex and S-Beam, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank Lael and Mmmm. I want to thank everybody for supporting this channel generously via super chats and tips. Thank you very much for that. I want to thank my moderating staff. I don't know why you guys froze. Tom Jr. Jackson, I want to thank you for being here. I don't know who else was here. As far as was a moderator, but she was on the show, so I don't have to thank her. But let's see. Medicated movie reviews. I don't want to miss anything. The Police. Clint Loves Everything. We talked about Book of Job. I don't think I missed anyone. Anyway, well, that's good. Tomorrow, I think I'll probably be doing a members chat. If you're a member of the channel, we have great members chats, and they're lots of fun as I'm rambling on toward the end of this show. And, of course, you're going to see a lot more of Robservations, more Midnight Musings, more Let's Get Physical Media. And this week, we are bringing back, you know it, you love it, whining about movies. Elizabeth and I are going to whine about movies one more time. So, not just one more time. We're gonna come back. We're gonna bring back whining about movies. For those of you who don't know, we share a bottle of wine and talk about movies. So it's whining about movies. And on that note, I want to say, remember, every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear, and all you have to do is listen. And with that, I will say to everyone, have a better night.